If you've ever checked the weather first thing on a Monday morning to plan your week ahead for golf, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another Monday and another week here on Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We're going to break down the news. Seems to be a little light today, but boy, oh boy, do we have some green on the screen as futures pointing to a higher open. Let's go ahead and get this week kicked off. Can't wait to see everybody back. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for March 24th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. I can tell you, we didn't have the greatest weather here in Chicago this weekend, but that didn't stop me. I watched so much basketball, I almost can't even believe it. And somehow, my brackets are not yet busted. I'm still in it. So we'll go with that. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces, and I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend as well. Looks like this week, at least here in Chicago, we are going to start the warming up process. Paul, good morning. It's great to see you again. Welcome back. Pete, welcome back. Good to see you again as well. Jim, welcome back. Indeed, everybody, it is a new week, and we're going to make that new week great as we do every week. Hellcat, welcome back. It's good to see you. Sleep, coffee, trade. Amen, brother. Welcome back. Fairchild, welcome back. River, welcome back. Reaching financial freedom. Good morning. Good to see you. Producer, locked in as always. Not thrilled about the construction, but locked in nonetheless. Day trader, good morning. It's good to see you again. Actually, I'd like to get your opinion here on Bitcoin. I got a couple of things that I want to discuss about Bitcoin, including another Arthur Hayes quote. We'll go into that. Fairchild, congratulations to Badger women's hockey wins their 8th national championship in OT. So Fairchild, shout out to you for even bringing that up. That is awesome. Those Badger women can play. And I'll tell you something, while I wasn't watching that game, I saw X blow up. When they started to win there, it looked really, really exciting. The hockey has actually been pretty good recently. So congratulations to the Badgers women's hockey team. That is awesome. Larry, welcome back. Bernhard, welcome back. Big B's locked in. Welcome back. Glenn, top of the morning to you. I wish I had a top hat to tip to you. Good morning. Allsorts, good morning. Artisan Custom Homes, good morning. Dermolg, good morning. Jay Grant, good morning. Laura checking in. Captain Cloudy, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. 3D, locked and loaded. Let's go. Good morning. Ralph and White Chocolate Mocha. White Chocolate Mocha. Good morning. It's great to see you again. Murray, good morning. Torloff, Bax, good morning. Let's go ahead and break it down like a fraction, y'all. Here is the SPY chart. And like I said, green across the screen here this morning. Actually, probably the largest green arrows that we've seen in some time here in the pre-market. S&P futures up 1.18%, almost 1.2% here. I can't remember the last time I read that the futures were up that much in the pre-market. Ryan, the unstoppable. Let's go. The golf course might stop me this weekend, but the weather sure won't. 3D, we're locked in. Peter, Jim, Chuck, good morning. Diamond Hotline, welcome back, bro. Good morning. Ed, welcome back. Okay, so SPY here. Really, what this is going to boil down to here is, do we think that the bottom is in, at least in the near term? Are the trades we should be looking for long side trades, or are we still kind of waiting out the other shoe to drop? This is, to me, the $64,000 question. And I'll be honest, where I sit right now, I still think we probably have another pull down that's really going to spook everybody. That would be my gut feeling. I don't know if that's what we're going to get. Now, as far as the numbers to look at or the levels today, I still think I got to stay with my 200-day, right? Last week, we talked about the market trading up, possibly tapping this 200-day, and then maybe giving us a short entry. Well, we never really did it. We actually had 2 days in a row where we tried to move higher, couldn't quite hit that level, and ended up coming back in, but not breaking down. Now, we've got some news here that the tariffs aren't, go figure, tariffs aren't going to be as bad or aren't going to be as, or are going to be more selectively targeted. I can't remember the exact language that they use. I'm trying to quote it. But basically, the market here is telling you that they're not as worried about that as we approach that April 2nd deadline. I think at this point now, the market is starting to sniff out that we might get more clarity about this. Whether, whatever the details of those tariffs are, the market is hoping for some more clarity. At least that's what it feels like here to me. Now, the SPY here is trading up towards that 20-day moving average. So your first number of note here today is going to be 572.20. Maybe we see a little bit of resistance there. I wouldn't be shocked, frankly, if we punched right above that 572 in pretty short order. We'll see what the opening print gives us, if we're going to get any type of continuation on this positive move, or if it just says, nope, we're going to yank this back and see where we go here today. The bigger number, the one I'm more watching and waiting for, is going to be this 573.69 number. I would love for the market to trade back up, maybe even punch above that and then give it up, because I'm still kind of waiting for that other move down. We'll see. We'll see if we even get that. Now, one of the things that I've been using to kind of formulate this thesis has been seasonality. And the seasonality traditionally ends anywhere, the negative portion of the seasonality traditionally ends anywhere between March 24th and March 26th. So that's between now and Wednesday. So I kind of want to give it this whole week, give it a little extra time, because sometimes these things aren't exact. I want to see if we sell off this week. I want to see if we sell off this week, or do we set up for a move higher here. Now, I'm still in the camp that we're going to see something lower than the 552 level. That's that 10% pullback level. I think we're going to see some price level lower than that before we see new all-time highs. But this is definitely the thing to watch here. What catalysts are going to get us to move to new all-time highs? That I don't know. And I think, a lot of this, we're going to have to listen to the Fed speak. We got a bunch of economic stuff this week. Global PMI data comes today. It comes in about 40 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. We have home sales data and the Richmond Fed manufacturing. Actually, some of our recent homes data hasn't been terrible. Existing home sales was up. New building or new construction was up a little bit. I want to see if that trend continues. Remember, as far as home sales go, we're actually entering the busiest season for home sales coming up. I believe it's April through June, if I'm not mistaken. Morning Harley, morning MD, morning Tyler, morning Hannah, morning Quantum, joining us here today. Also, continuing with some of the economic prints, Wednesday we have the durable goods order, crude and gas data as well. The durable goods is at 8:30. The crude data comes at 10:30. Thursday we have jobless claims and pending home sales, as well as natty gas data. That's after the market opens. And then Friday, that's going to be the big day. You got your core PCE, and then at 10 a.m. we have that Michigan consumer sentiment. Remember, it was that print that sent us down the last time. It'll be interesting to see what kind of reading we get from that here this week. So we've got some economic. Oh, we also, and if that wasn't enough, by the way, we've got Fed speakers talking all week. So we're going to have our fair share of economic data, and I'm sure that's going to impact the market. Really, what I'm going to be looking for here is, how do we do around this 573.69? I mean, if we go to, let's just say 574, and the market feels really heavy and tired, and all of a sudden we start getting more rhetoric about tariffs or trade war or whatever the case is, I think that probably makes a pretty good entry there for a short. But again, we're talking about if and thens, and we're going to have a plan, and then we're going to have triggers and all of that. So we'll let you know if that stuff gets rolling. The other thing to keep in mind here is that, well, the SPY did come down 10%. I saw Stephanie Link making this point earlier this morning. She made this point the last couple of weeks as well. There are many stocks that are down more than the 10% from their high. So I know we focus a lot on the index here, which a lot of folks do, but some of these stocks have actually corrected more. I'm obviously curious to hear what any of you think on new trades on any of the MAG 7 or LAG 7, if you prefer to call them that. So this is kind of what I'm looking at here. I really want to see what happens at the 200-day. I will say, despite waiting for the market to really kind of sell off, it is kind of refreshing to come in on a Monday morning and see that there's just a bunch of green arrows. It doesn't seem like the world is about to end as far as the news flow goes. That's a nice little break from all the doom and gloom that we often get. So we'll take the positives where we can there. All right, let me start with the first story here. Again, this is just kind of a recap of what's going on. I'm going to go through this real quick here. U.S. stock futures gained on Monday, continuing the momentum that we saw on Friday from that rally. Let's see. I did want to mention here, Nike fell more than 5% on Friday. We can actually take a look here at the Nike chart and see if any of you folks are looking to trade that here. Let me get that queued up real quick. Get you a chart here. Here's your Nike chart. So this thing really got hit on Friday. We actually talked about this too. Looks like 66. I had told you that the next spot down when we broke that 70 to 71 support there on the daily was probably somewhere between 60 and 63. Well, hot damn, we actually printed 65. So we got down there pretty good. We'll see here if Nike ends up giving us a bounce, but so far here in the pre-market up about 0.7%. One of the levels that I'd be watching if it can recap this, we do have a potential gap fill up to about 72 as well. So if Nike gets rolling here, that might be something to take a look at. FedEx also reported on Friday. Shares dipped more than 6% on Friday. Of course, FedEx is often used as a bellwether for the economy. FedEx, again, is bouncing back, at least here in the pre-market. I think it might be worth watching both of these names today, especially if you're looking for some of the bigger names and less of the junkier names to potentially trade. They might have a continued move here. Insight from analysts. Okay, here we go. Analysts sought to brush aside concerns of a bear market, stating that it's not as much of a concern and that it's likely a rotational behavior. So there's several of you, shout out, because several of you have talked about rotation and haven't been running for the hills. Looking like you've been playing that correctly, frankly. Statistically, this type of action is extreme and typically comes at the end of a bear market in a waterfall sell-off and not right after an all-time high. A simple reflexive rebound to the 20-day moving average would wipe out half of that decline. Hey, isn't that what we got? We just showed that to you on the last screen there. He added that the chances of the S&P making an all-time high in the second quarter are better than ever. That's a quote, by the way, better than ever. So while I was just telling you, I think that the market's going to print lower before it prints higher. It looks like there are plenty of other people on the other side of it. That's what makes the market. We'll see how this shakes out here. But this is contingent on President Trump registering a few trade war wins. That's yet to be seen here. Okay, Ryan Dietrich. We'll always go with the Ryan Dietrich quote. He does a good job, even though he went to Ohio State, LOL. The S&P 500 was up nearly 200% total return earlier this year off of these lows. Remember that next time you hear some scary headlines, he said. Okay, 5 years ago, the S&P 500 bottomed after a 34% bear market due to shutting down the economy. The S&P 500 was up nearly 200% earlier off of those lows. And I think the key point here is that obviously when there's real bad news out there, I know, especially when everything is getting blasted, it's really hard to sit by and say, yeah, I'm gonna stomach through this, or I'm gonna even harder, I'm gonna buy this move down. Got the world shutting down. There's some virus, this, that. I know it's difficult, but this just serves as another data point to remind you that those are the times where some of that big money can be made, those bigger wealth moves there. All right, I'm going to keep moving on here. Allianz chief economic advisor Mohamed El-Arian outlined a packed week ahead of global markets this week. We talked a little bit about that. The week ahead for the global economy and markets is packed with data releases. Key Fed events include Governor Michael Barr's speech on small business lending on Monday and banking policy on Friday. So it looks like you have caps at the week there from Michael Barr on Monday and Friday. We'll see if that adds to it. I didn't have that in my list of economic events, but it looks like that's going on here as well. European markets face their own catalyst with the UK's spring fiscal statement and inflation data. Germany's IFO Business Conference Index and the Eurozone PMI figures are all due for release. So in addition to what we're getting here in the States, we also have some data coming out of Europe that might impact our markets as well. So we'll see where we end up going from here, and we'll see if the worst is over, frankly. Producer, maybe we should run a poll here. Do we see new all-time highs, or do we see lows beneath 552? I don't know. We'll let you know. Let you know if you come up with something like that. That could be pretty good. All right. Next, we're going to talk about NVIDIA. We're going to start with chart, though. and then we'll talk about what's going on here. NVIDIA is something that we have been charting regularly. I know you folks trade this regularly. I'm with you on that. Jim says, easy money this week, I think. Jim, I would take that. Let me tell you, if we get some easy money trades this week, that would be a welcomed break. I'd be in for that. I will say here with the bounce, and I'm sorry for digressing from NVIDIA. We'll get back to it here in a sec. I will say that some of the plays that we made last week actually seem to be working. I was telling you guys about Dollar General. I started nibbling on that a little bit and then actually added to this one. Dollar General seems to be moving up off of this base, and actually it really looks like this wants to break higher here. 200-day, I don't know why it's not loading here. 200-day is right at 93. So this trade's actually working. And then the other thing that we highlighted last week was FCX, right? I know we had been talking about the copper trade recently. I flagged some huge orders in the calls here. We had this nice move above a trend line, and now it looks like we've back tested the trend line. Both of these stocks are higher here in the pre-market. So we'll see if these really kind of carry forward. Just be real interesting to see what trades work on this bounce and what trades don't. Let's get back to NVIDIA here, though, real quick. We talked last time about NVIDIA really kind of hovering around this center line of this channel that we've been in since last year. This would be November of last year, right before Thanksgiving. And it looks like we're actually trying to trade up to the top end of the channel. Now, this is interesting because the last time we touched one of these channel boundaries was actually the lower boundary. And when we came up, we kind of found some resistance around the midpoint. We actually had some news flow where it's like, market might, this was last week, market might be a little bit rough. Maybe some of these will trade back down. Well, that ended up not happening. And now, if you'll notice, I know it might be hard to see with the yellow parallel channel here. Now, not only have we held that midpoint, we got above the 20-day, and we're holding above the 20-day, and it actually looks like we're about to test this trend line that goes all the way back to April of 2024 and then goes through that yen carry trade low that we saw in August in 2024. So I almost wonder if we're going to take this trend line out. Notice that we have both the 50 and the 200 right above it. And of course, these were the subject of a lot of conversation last week because NVIDIA finally death crossed. So we've got the chart here saying death cross. We're currently in a channel that's leading down, but we have price action telling us, hey, things are maybe not as bad as they look, at least not right now. And we might want to try some of the upper boundaries of this channel. I'd be curious to know how you folks take a look at NVIDIA right now. Where's the next move here? Are we going higher or are we going lower on NVIDIA? Now, there is some news to cover here from, I don't know how much this is actually going to play into it. It's almost rather amusing more than anything else. But there is some news from the conference from last week. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang sparks concern over rapid depreciation of the AI chips that he's touting. Oh, boy, that seems to be like a miscalculation, huh? In a recent jest, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang may have inadvertently raised serious concerns for the company's major clients, including tech behemoths like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Not the companies that you want to raise concern about, if you ask me. According to a report, Huang humorously commented on the swift obsolescence of NVIDIA's AI chips at the company's AI conference. Okay. Well, the introduction of more powerful GPUs like Blackwell is generally a positive development for the community. The fast-paced advancements of technology can render previous versions outdated quicker. Excuse me. This could result in assets depreciating faster, which could affect the earnings of large companies, reports the insider. Quote, I said before that when Blackwell starts shipping in volume, you couldn't give hoppers away. End quote. He stated, alluding that the company's latest AI chip and server package, Blackwell, and its predecessor, Hopper. So let me know, do you guys think that, I'll tell you what, Jensen really kind of seems like he's maybe not thinking everything through as much as he should, right? We had the gaffe last week. Well, I didn't know these quantum companies were public, as my comment sent the stocks tumbling. Now he's making jokes about the obsolescence of some of his chips. We were talking about the next generation. I believe Rubin is what it's called, maybe not being as power hungry as Blackwell. That has a bunch of implications, by the way, if that actually pans out and turns out to be true. And at this point, we probably shouldn't just believe that. the launch here of NVIDIA's most recent graphics cards really poor. In fact, probably the worst launch for any graphics card product that I can remember in my life. Actually, might give some room for AMD to play a catch-up trade, but that's on the personal computing graphics card side, not necessarily on the AI side. Okay. I think that is probably it for that. Also, one more thing here regarding NVIDIA. Chip flows under scrutiny as Malaysia moves to tighten regulations amid U.S. export controls. So we actually talked to you recently about several people that were arrested. In fact, this article, I don't want to, when we're talking about people being arrested, I want to make sure I get all of the facts straight. So let me find it here. Here we go. This crackdown follows Singapore's recent arrest of 9 people, with 3 charged in a $390 million fraud case involving the suspected sale of NVIDIA chips to China via Malaysia. The prosecutors identified. So it looks like they're trying to crack down a little bit more on this. Ultimately, this obviously has, I don't even want to call it trade war, but this has trade effects on it. And then really the ultimate question here for me is, will any of this make a dent in NVIDIA's bottom line? And the way I look at that is no. I don't think, even if they bust more of these people, I really don't think it's going to affect NVIDIA's bottom line. I certainly wouldn't become more bearish because of this or anything. It's just interesting to me that they seem to be stepping this up. Malaysian Trade Minister Zafrul Aziz, that's actually a pretty cool name. I hope I didn't butcher it too badly, told the Financial Times he's formed a task force with the digital minister to tighten regulations around the country's growing data center industry, which heavily relies on NVIDIA's powerful graphics processing units. The U.S. is asking us to make sure that we monitor every shipment that comes to Malaysia when it involves NVIDIA chips. They want us to make sure that the servers end up in data centers that they're supposed to and not being suddenly moved to another ship. So he's giving you a little insight there as to how this actually works. So that news also happened with NVIDIA here. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure that has too much of an impact on the price. Okay, next thing that I want to talk about is Bitcoin. Who's ready to talk about some Bitcoin and maybe even trade Bitcoin? Actually, let's take a quick look here. I gave you some of the futures earlier. Bitcoin futures also strong here. Looks like this morning the futures printed a high of exactly 88,000. Remember, this is /BTC at the Chicago Board of Option Exchange. 88K was your high. It's backed off that high a little bit, but it's holding steady here at 87,500. Let me go to the crypto chart that we have here in Pro. As I was telling you last week, I have an active good till cancel order sitting out here at 70,000. And today's movement, or really the movement over the weekend, has me wondering if that's going to get filled anytime soon. Now, I'm still going to leave that order out there, at least for right now. I'm certainly not going to chase this, but you can see here the performance on Bitcoin. After making a series of lower lows here, we're now bouncing back into the purple shaded area. Big B's, this area we first identified when we were talking about this. When we were talking about Bitcoin trading down, I think we were also looking at MicroStrategy at that time. We identified this pretty significant zone. Well, guess what? We're back in that zone now. We're actually above one of these trend lines that we added and still below the other one. Now, these don't quite make a channel, but depending on how you draw them, it could actually be a parallel channel. So what I would really want to see for some serious bullish move on Bitcoin, I'd really like to see us get above this second trend line. And that might also equate with getting above this pretty substantial former support area that now should have turned into resistance. So again, that area down here is about 85,000 up to 90,000. So that 5K range there. Let's see if we can break out of this. We're pretty much smack dab in the middle of this. Now, I did want to get to one of these predictions, and then I want to hear from all of you folks on it. We'll take a look at that. Arthur Hayes predicts Bitcoin to hit 110K before retesting 76.5K. So this right here, I love this because it's very, very specific. There's really no ambiguity here. I like that he's making this call. But what happened here? BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes predicted on Sunday that Bitcoin will reach 110,000 before retesting the 76,500 level. I bet Bitcoin hits 110K before it retests 76.5. He attributes this forecast to the Federal Reserve shifting from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing for treasuries and adding that tariffs are irrelevant due to transitory inflation. Okay, now we're starting to get we're starting to get more of these buzzwords in and tied to Bitcoin. I'm sure nothing bad can happen from that. We'll see. Hayes' prediction comes as the Federal Reserve Chair held interest rates steady at 4.25 to 4.5% last Wednesday, with Chairman Jerome Powell reviving the controversial term transitory to describe potential inflationary effects from new tariffs. The Fed also announced plans to slow its quantitative tightening program beginning in April, reducing the Treasury Secretary's redemption caps from $25 billion to $5 billion monthly. Okay, so let's see. I'm curious, you folks well, really anyone, whether you trade Bitcoin or not, I'm curious to know, producer, maybe we should also make a poll question out of this one. Do we think Bitcoin hits 110K? Let's actually change it a little bit. We don't necessarily need to copy Arthur here. Let's say, do we think Bitcoin prints new all-time highs or tests 70K? What did he say here? Let's call it 75K, huh? Or test 75K first. Which do you think? I'm curious. This policy shift occurs amidst growing stagflation concerns. The Fed's latest projections show gross domestic product growth falling 1.7% for 2025, down from December's 2.1 estimate, while core PCE inflation expectations rose from 2.5 to 2.8%. Quote, "It's simply too early to say with any degree of confidence that the inflationary effects will be transitory," end quote. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Powell. We've got other experts saying, you know what, you could take your transitory and go somewhere else. We do not have enough data to say that. Okay, so what do you folks think on that? Now, I'd asked you real quick here. Okay, so producer, you already threw a poll up there. We'll save it for the next one. That sounds great. Day trader, you were mentioning 144 on Sol too. So sorry, I was reading and I wasn't. I don't know what you were saying that in reference to. Apologize, but here it actually does look like Solana has really kind of put in a bottom here. 120 actually looks to be a pretty good support here. And look at this line. Look at this 120 level. Look at this 120 level here on Sol. This goes all the way back to December of 2023, where this was resistance that we broke through. When we broke through it in very short order, we back tested it and held it. That is exactly what you want to see when moving above a former resistance level. After a huge run, we actually made a near-term double bottom and held that. We actually did that again and then again. And now we're testing it here again. Tell you what, this 120 level on SOL seems to be extremely important. Have not really turned on the aggressiveness for buying these. I'm still kind of waiting some of these lower prices, so I didn't get any Solana filled here. I'm definitely interested in that, and might have to go after a couple of these coins at least early, and then start staking them. So we'll see. So I'm curious, do you think that in addition, I'm sharing the wrong screen again. For heaven's sakes, I'm sorry about that. So in addition to Bitcoin, how about Solana? Do we think that the bottom is in near term for Solana? Is this okay to buy? Might we be returning to some of those higher levels here for Solana? Curious to know what you folks think on all of these different tickers. All of them. Okay, let me catch up here from the chat real quick. Appreciate all of you guys. Allsorts, you had said earlier, this market is very difficult to call on a day-to-day basis. Indeed, buddy. Indeed it is, and you see that here. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I want one of these moves to happen, like a big capitulatory sell-off, for example, is because I would feel better about this day-to-day prediction. I would feel as if I have a better feel for what's going on day-to-day, and thus could probably make better trades day-to-day. I'm with you on that one. Okay. Ari Stock Market bought Celsius, CELH. You know what? Let me add that to my list here. We can take a look at it. The news flow is not crazy today, and obviously our guest is going to be Matt after the market opens, so we have actually plenty of time here to cover a bunch of the whatever charts that you want. So CELH added to the list. I know we already looked at Nike. We'll probably end up going back there. We'll see. Okay. Blazed Rhino says everything is going to be fine. I would echo that. I would echo that. Glass half full, man. Glass half full. Okay. Robinhood is beaten down a lot, but when interest rates will be lower and the real estate market recovers 3 to 4 quarters, 2025 is a stock to own. IMP. Let me RH. That's Restoration Hardware, not Robinhood. Excuse me. So let me actually go back to the chart here real quick. Where's my chart tool? Where's my chart tool? Here's your Restoration Hardware. Oh God, my watermark disappeared again. Okay, so here's your Restoration Hardware chart. I love that this is not one that we talk about very often. I'm actually going to add this one to the list as well, just in case we come back here. This is not one that we talk about very often, but man, oh man, look at some of the action on this, right? Had a nice, huge move here after September. I believe this was on an earnings report, and it just continued to run, printed a double top up here around 450. We're currently at 242. And we're actually just coming up off of oversold levels on the Williams percent hour and the RSI. Look at the support level that Restoration Hardware is near. So this is a really good mention here. This one might be a pretty decent play if the market does recover. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is more of a company for the more affluent consumer, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I actually think that this might have more staying power because of that. Even if the economy or the consumer weakens, I think that's obviously going to affect the low end of the curve more so than the high end of the curve. We'll see. I appreciate you bringing this one up. Restoration Hardware. This is actually at a really, really interesting level. A couple more things to note here. Volume point of control, pretty much right down here around this support level. These volume shelves look pretty good. Watch Restoration Hardware if this continues to turn around. Watch Restoration Hardware. Hello, it says glass half full, bank account empty. Thankfully, not the case for me, but we're going to keep trying to be positive. We'll keep trying to find some of those trades to help you fill up that bank account. Hello. We've talked about this on Happy Hour. We did talk about this on Happy Hour, Big B's. I feel like that was a while ago, though, right? I feel like we haven't looked at Restoration Hardware in a few weeks here. Just a really, really interesting spot. Now that it's really moved off of so this recent level here, what was this, about $400? Really interesting down here. Really, really interesting. So we'll see here if we get a trade on Restoration Hardware. Okay. Brandy said, I sold my soul above 200. Not sure how much upside it has in the long run, but it will go up with BTC to some degree. No plans to get back in it right now. Let me know if that changes, Brandy. Let me know what level would you need to see on SOL for you to be like, you know what? I am going to kind of add this back. I mean, I'm assuming if you were selling that at above 200, that first trade ended up working for you. I'd imagine you'd go back to that. Well, let me know what level SOL becomes interesting to you. Okay, what else did I miss here? NVIDIA hasn't done enough this area of restricting sales to China on calls before. They refuse to address the issue and disclosing what NVIDIA does from that. I wonder if that'll change. I wonder if some of these other countries stepping up some of their security will change that equation. And then I wonder how much we're even going to hear from NVIDIA on that, Big B's. That's the other thing. We'll see. Aries Stocks, a market I like RH also looked at FTAI. That was one that we did. That was the short report one, right? That actually worked really well. I know this thing came back in, but that initial trade here worked really well. Big B's, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were actually bullish on this for kind of a longer term too, weren't you? When we discussed the thesis here, here's your current trend that we want to see get broken here on the FTAI. This is a post short report trend. We'll see if we can get above that trend line there. Rustam, good morning. It's great to see you here. Happy Monday. I hope that your weekend was well, my friend. Okay. Oh, we've talked about that. I owned it 25 years ago. When it was yeah, MD, are you saying for RH, I owned it 25 years ago and it was $1 a share? Yikes. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to see some of those big ones or some of those stocks that really kind of just move absolutely huge. All right. See what else am I missing here? All right, you guys adding Tesla to the list here. I think we could probably just start ticker time. Um, I don't, let's see. Let's see. We talked about the Arthur Hayes. I just want to make sure I go through all of the news here. The only other thing, I guess we'll mention it since we were talking about Bitcoin. I'm not really sure how to square this whole thing. Curious to know what you folks think about this. The White House says gold reserves may be used to purchase Bitcoin. A senior White House official has hinted at the possibility of the U.S. utilizing its gold reserves to acquire more Bitcoin. Boy, I bet Peter Schiff loves that idea, right? I bet he absolutely loves that idea. Someone should actually reach out to Peter Schiff and see how he feels about this. Bo Hines, the executive director of the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets, that's a mouthful, suggested in an interview that the U.S. could capitalize on the gains from its gold holdings to purchase more Bitcoin. This move, according to Hines, could be a budget-neutral way to increase the country's Bitcoin reserves. Hines referenced the Bitcoin Act of 2025 proposed by Senator Cynthia Lummis from Wyoming, which advocates the U.S. to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, approximately 5% of the total Bitcoin supply, over a span of 5 years. This acquisition would be funded through the sale of Federal Reserve gold certificates. Let me know. Let me know if you folks like that idea. Man, I can, maybe I'm overhyping this a little bit, but I see some of the gold bugs out there really, really disliking this idea. Really, really disliking. We'll see. We'll see how this ends up shaking out. Okay, let's go back to Pro here. Let's go back to the charts. I actually did want to take a quick look and see if there was any other breaking news. The one thing, a caveat to mention here, ticker ME, 23andMe. And actually, I'll explain that here in a sec. 23andMe shares are trading lower after the company announces has initiated voluntary Chapter 11 bankruptcy to pursue a strategic sale and secured $35 million in DIP financing. So we've seen some of these stocks, or really any stock that declares bankruptcy, we see they sometimes bounce. I can tell you right now, this is not going to be one that I'm trading. Here's the intraday chart for ticker ME, 23andMe. No bueno here this morning on this. I'm not going to trade this one. Good luck if you do. But 23andMe, that was the other piece of news here. Don't really think there's a trade here, at least not for me. I will say the whole giving away genetic data and all of that, not thrilled about that. Kind of glad that I never really did it. We'll see if I'm just kind of being a little too protectionist and overhyping there, but glad I never really did that. I don't really think there was anything else going on here that was really big, right? No, there really wasn't. But really quick, for those of you that are interested, I know we get asked more often here about Benzinga Pro. One of the first things that I do every single morning before I get on here with you folks, before I even say hi to the producer in some cases, I load this up and I take a look at what's going on. What did I miss at the end of the week last week? What big news happened over the weekend? Did we have anything exclusive? I opted not to trade Mira here this morning. And this workspace just gives me a really quick at a glance for all of that. So shout out to the Benzinga Pro team making this pretty easy to use. Okay, let me go back here real quick. Yeah, MD, you did own Restoration Hardware. Man, oh man. Root is a happy camper on my leaps list right now. We can take a look at that here. I know we had talked about this being tied to Carvana. Carvana has actually been pretty good recently. Here's Root. I can't remember. I don't want to give out a call if it wasn't real, but I'm pretty sure Crow had called that this was going back to 200 or going to 200. I think that he called that. I'll have to check in with him. Can't remember. Anyway, Big B's, nice job on your leaps here as Root continues to push some new highs. Might as well also take a look at the Carvana chart, ticker CVNA. This has recently recaptured its 200-day. This actually doesn't look bad. I would say as long as this, for a trade here on Carvana, I would just trade this against the 200-day. If this thing loses the 200-day, I'd probably just exit. And otherwise, we might have momentum move back up towards that 280 spot. That's 90 points away from where we're at. Even if we don't get up there, I mean, a move up to 225, 230, It's not a bad move here. 30, 35 points from where we're at right now. If this continues here, Carvana should continue with that. Okay. Clarence, good morning. I'm in Cali for the week. It's early out here. Clarence, let me know what do you wake up? 3 a.m., 4 a.m.? What's the wake up time out there on the West Coast? I know we have some regular West Coasters here. I don't know how they do it. Impressive every day. Brandy, thank you for answering. I would consider Sol under 100. Okay, the SOL buy point that I was looking at was right at that round 100 number. And just from looking at the chart and the recent trading action, I'm kind of wondering if I'm even going to get that. I would think Bitcoin would really need to make a substantial move lower across all of the different cryptos to really kind of bring Sol into that $100 level. We'll see if we end up getting it. But shout out. Appreciate that. I'm kind of looking at the same thing. Shamir, good morning. Welcome, brother. Good to see you again. Tyler wants to take a look at KHC. KHC, the Kraft Heinz company. Man, this is responsible for one of my best option trades way back here. Actually, I think it was back in 2016 when Warren, maybe even 2015. Yeah, maybe that 2015 year when Warren merged Kraft and Heinz. I had Kraft calls. Oh, that was such a good morning. It's been a long time since that happened. Kraft is all the way down here in this 29 handle. And boy, oh boy, this actually doesn't look like a great chart here. This daily chart, although we are at a support level here, it actually kind of looks like it's rolling over. We're beneath the volume point of control. We have the 200-day pitching down. We're actually beneath the 50-day right here. I'd want to see some of these recaptured. Williams percent R, massively oversold, but RSI doesn't have us oversold yet. I don't know. Was there any recent news here on Kraft Heinz that we should be made aware of? $29 price target pretty much right there. I don't know. I think maybe if you're looking for consumer staples amidst the downturn in the regular market, then I think you could probably make a case here for ticker KHC. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the bull case is here. I'm not sure. Let's put it this way. I don't think the company's bad. I'm not sure why you would choose to deploy money here instead of some other places. Tyler, you'll have to let me know. You will have to let me know. Okay. Oh my God. No, Bigabees. I'm not sure what that was referring to. Sorry about that. Tyler, PWR and TER. We took a look at those last week. I don't really think there's anything new on that. Is there? Teradyne? Nope. We did say that if this bottom can hold, we might have a potential move back up to the trend line here. If we cross the trend line, might have a gap fill there. Did anything new happen on this one? Nope. So I guess we're still kind of waiting that out here. This at this point, without knowing what else is going on here, this sure looks like a chart play. We actually still are on some pretty oversold indicators here. So we'll see if ticker TER can get a bounce here. PWR was the other one that you wanted to take a look at. Why can't I type this morning? I'm not sure. Quanta Services. Here's your PWR. This to me is all about 275, right? If this can get above 275, maybe we can try higher here on that. I'm not sure if this is going to do that. Does this have a data center angle as well? Leading provider for specialty contracting services, delivering comprehensive infrastructure solutions to the electric and gas utility, communications pipeline, and energy industries in the United States. Yes, I believe this did have a data center angle connected to it. Looks like it's probably been hit on that. Did a good job holding, or did a really good job actually bouncing off of its 500-day. We did just death cross here. So I'd actually kind of wait for this one to shake out, Tyler. I wait for this one to shake out. Day Trader says, Bitcoin is my largest holding overall, and I'm against the U.S. using gold to buy it. There you go. So is that more of a diversification thing? Let me know if that's the case. Would you rather be more diversified, and that's why you don't want to see the U.S. do it? You don't want them to trade gold for Bitcoin? Curious about that. Okay. Oh, that's what I was up on the list here. Okay. Hood and Went. We'll definitely add Hood there. Went, I believe, is on the movers list, so I think we're already going to cover that when we get through there. INOD looks promising. It's interesting. We'll tell you what, that was one. Shout out to the happy hour crew who got me on this one. We were way too early. This goes to show you that when you have a really good idea and you're early on the idea, it really behooves you. I should have traded stock with this instead of stock and options. I should have actually built a long-term position on this one. We did really good with this. We traded this initially from like $3.50 to $9. Came back in a little bit. We reloaded again and went into the high teens. This thing went to 70 on that most recent pump. And as far as your comment here about this looking pretty good, we had that big move higher. We've moved right back into this balance area. As long as it can hold this, we're actually doing a really good job carving out some of these new volume shelves. So as long as this thing stays here and really doesn't break down, I'd be looking at probably 37.5 here would be my downside. If it's able to do that, the business here for INOD should continue. They do AI algorithms for monitoring things that human beings can't do, like just high volume things like hate speech online, stuff like that. Some of their biggest customers are customers like Google and Meta and just gigantic companies. So I like this. I just felt like I was so early on this, hard for me to buy it up here in this 40 handle. But just kind of looking at this, I would say against 37.5. 37.5. Probably the spot to look at here. By the way, really quick check in here. The market has drifted higher in the pre-market here. S&P futures up 1.2%. Dow futures up just about 1%. NASDAQ leading the way higher here at over 1.5%. So when we first checked in here, we had green on the screen. And so far, at least, it looks like that green has gotten a little bit greener. There. And day trader clarifying, no, I don't think we should give up our gold for Bitcoin. By the way, I totally agree with that. I don't think we should give it up. I do think we should have both personally. Anyway. All right. Let's see. It is 8:45. Let's check in with our buddy 13. 13, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing fine this morning. How are you this morning? How's everybody out there?
I'm doing really good. Seems like the chat is doing really good, although I'll let them answer for themselves. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was busy. I'm a little exhausted, actually. It was outside most of the time, just getting all kinds of things done in the backyard. You've seen the picture of my backyard. It's just a construction yard right now.
Okay, well, a little bit short-term pain for a little bit of long-term gain. The outdoor living down there in Texas should be amazing.
It was nice this weekend, actually. The sun was out, but it was still nice.
And it looks like it's going to start to get nice here this week. Knock on wood. I don't want to be the one that jinxes it, though.
Morning, Wes.
All right. 13, I haven't checked any of the movers. We actually had kind of a light news flow. I know that market's up here on the tariffs not being as bad as initially thought. We'll see how that shakes out here. That's obviously going to be in flux. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with anything in particular? Good morning, Wes. Great to see you.
We can get the movers out of the way, and then we can go into more of what's driving the markets this morning, and how we can try and play some of these. Maybe the tariffs aren't going to be as are going to be more targeted and not so broad.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do that. But let's look at some of these movers and get this junk out of the way.
Yeah, let's start with the movers because that'll be a nice little change from some of the stuff that I was just rolling through there. We'll start here. I don't know if you had any on your list already.
Yeah, I looked through 4 of them. IMT is the first one.
Okay, let's start with that one then. IMT, it's at the top of the list here. Here's your 5-minute intraday chart. Although we are up 133% here today, let's keep in mind where we really kind of came from. We're pretty much back to where the stock was trading before it really started to break down. So I know it looks like some pretty big numbers here today, but again, let's keep it in context. Quick look around the horn here. 0.3% of the float shorted with 1.73 days to cover. I think that's fairly negligible. A float here of 3.37 million, and I didn't see any fresh news driving this one. Looks like kind of just trading action here. What do you got on this, 13?
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering what was making all these wild moves, because I looked at the daily chart and we could see that on Friday this thing just took a real tumble, and now we're just bouncing back up. This is an Australian company that had no news on this movement, so I'm wondering, is this some kind of just massive exit from investors? Because if you look at the daily chart, it looks like there's a big capitulation move to the downside here. That low RSI also enticed some buying. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a bounce here. But there's no real cash street on this. 3.3 million shares, like you said. Don't know why this is going up and down and all around, but I think some of that low RSI got the attention of some traders.
Okay. IMTE. We'll see if this gives us a trade here. I'll be honest, that's not enticing, at least not for me on that. We'll see how it shakes up throughout the course of the market. Now, at this point, we've got one from last week here. I'm just going to go ahead and call it Next Girlfriend because we talked about it a few times last week. And here we are again. So the big day here last week was going to be Wednesday, right? We were up in the pre-market. This thing dipped out of the open and absolutely ripped, and then took another leg higher in the after-hours session. Spent one day pulling back, and then on Friday got fired up again. Now, here this morning, the interesting part here is that we are seeing some pretty substantial volume here. And sorry, the ticker is XHLD. This is 10 holdings. We are seeing some pretty substantial volume here in the pre-market, and it's actually about what we saw in the regular session on Friday, so it does seem a little bit elevated here. Again, just to kind of check in here, 3.1% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, pretty negligible there, and 3.8 million shares in the float. Now, I didn't see any fresh news on this one either. It looks like it's just kind of a relative volume play from last week.
I'm not so ready to think that that's the case, because if you look what happened, I think it was Friday. That was like more of a lower or a down day. Now this one I was asked about last week. I remember being asked about this one. I didn't really have any good opinion on it because it was such a new issue. So I really couldn't give any kind of a idea of where this was going to go. But I did see that they had that share repurchase announcement. They're going to do 1 million. They had a $1 million share repurchase program. We could be seeing some of that here in this move.
Interesting.
So that's possible. There's also let's see. There's one other. I think there may be a little bit of short squeezing. Let me see here. No, that's not the correct read. So never mind. Yeah, so I don't know why this is going. It has little to no cash. This is the one I was kind of putting out the warning about because it had no real cash read, but it's announcing a $1 million share repurchase. So I was wondering where the money came from. I still still maintain that this is one to be very careful with because I don't think that the financials match with this movement. I think this could just be a pump or that could be the share repurchasing that they announced, but I really don't see any real reason for this to be up here. I don't even think relative volume is what this is moving on.
Okay, we'll see here. XHLD, part of me, now that you're outlining that, part of me wonders if they're just kind of running this up on the buyback news only to do an offering and then use those funds to actually buy back shares. Interesting stuff there. This is popping here in the pre-market. I certainly wouldn't chase this one. We're actually becoming a little bit extended from that VWAP here up at 255. VWAP back down here at 219. That's going to be XHLD.
It's a nice, technical pattern there too, where you have that scallop. So you can see that on the 5-minute chart where it, made a high, came back in, found a low around $1, curled back up and took out that high. You see that happen a lot with stocks.
Yep. Sold my 10 shares when he said pump. Okay. LOL. LOL. Okay, next one here on the list. This is one that we should all be pretty familiar with. This is MLGO. It's back. You could actually see last week we were holding around but maybe not last week.
All it did is leak last week.
Yeah. I was going to say it entered last week at about 4 and then spent the entire week leaking. That's hard to say here. Now we've bounced back a little bit on volume. Did we have news on this? We did not. In fact, the news here from Friday was digestible all of Friday. So no fresh news here. Just looks like a bounce back. Now, the most recent print that we saw here in the short interest, 37.61% of the float shorted. That print comes from March 11th. So we're actually going to be due for another update here in the next couple of days on that short interest. Days to cover there, just one. So this could all get covered up in a day. 9.82 million shares in the float. What do you think here on our good friend MLGO? We got a trade here today?
Yeah, moving up on no news, but the thing that I saw on the chart was that it was bouncing off the 50-day SMA. So that could be one reason why this is moving. I think another reason why you're also seeing this move is because, yes, it was getting a lot of attention last week, so it's on people's radars. And then you get this news of the tariffs being more, directed. And you have this environment now where a lot of the market is just really pushing up. So they're going to see a lot of short squeezes when in this environment. And I think that's what you're seeing here with MLGO.
Okay.
Is that the highest short interest they've ever had, that 37.6, the highest they've ever had. That is squeezing. I think that's leading to this movement that we're seeing this morning. So a little bit of a squeeze, no news. 50-day SMA bounce. That's just what I think is happening in this a bit of a bullish environment that we had this morning.
Okay. And actually, just kind of looking at this 5-minute chart, I'll be honest, it sure seems like when MLGO traded up into this range, got a little bit tired here.
Yeah.
We really want to see this break above 375 on some more volume and then hold that level for another upside trade. Now, I don't want to poo-poo this too early, 13, because we've seen this stock make some pretty incredible runs before. Here was the last day where this thing went absolutely buck wild. This was back in February. You can see, I mean, the initially went from about $1 to above 10. So while I don't want to, completely write this thing off, we are on the backside of that, and just be careful. Just be careful with this one, just as we do with a lot of these kind of junky movers. Sure, the potential movement is there, but be careful and certainly don't chase any of these moves. Good Lord. Okay, next, this is Wintry, W-I-N-T. Someone asked about this. Shamir, I think it was you asking about this one earlier. This did make some news last week and was on our list here, and we do have another catalyst here this morning. Wintry Therapeutic shares are trading higher after the company announced it had regained compliance status with NASDAQ regarding its listing rule standards. Okay, so I know that this seems like kind of a jokey piece of news, but we've seen these stocks trade on this theme. We had the audacity to even call this a theme back when that was happening. And we're seeing Wintry do that again here today. You can see initially when the pre-market opened here, we did pop. Now we've really started to bleed some of this back here, right? So we've really kind of come back in a little bit. The volume is also kind of compressing after this initial news. Quick look around the horn here. 11% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover, and a float here, a micro float, under 1 million shares at 748,000. So I ask you, 13, we've got a micro float stock here that we've seen move before. We have delisting catalyst coming out via PR here today. What's the trade here? Ticker WINT, if any.
So that news last week that we were trading on was when they became the company was the provider for, I think it was what's that name, Evofem. They were going to be the license and supply, the sourcing partner. That's it, for Evofem. When I was looking at this one last week, I noticed that they had done that reverse split, that 1 for 50. Mm-hmm. So I had mentioned that this is going through some kind of NASDAQ recompliance, and we were going to see that headline at some point soon. Well, here we are with this NASDAQ recompliance. They're over $1. They've I don't exactly know what all the compliance that they had to go through, but usually you've got to trade over $1 and I forget what it has to do with the float, but the float being under 1 million shares, that's going to help.
Here you go, real quick. Was not compliant with the minimum bid rule because its stock failed to meet the closing bid price of $1 for 30 or more consecutive trading days. Yeah. Company was required to maintain that minimum bid of $1 for at least 10 consecutive trading days. Yep. NASDAQ noted that this requirement was met and has been exhibited by a closing price of $1 since February 21st.
I thought there was something that had to do with the shares, but it's probably just you need to reverse split in order to get the shares back over $1. So that's what is happening here. They're regaining compliance, and they probably are going to have to do a capital raise because they have some cash, but not enough to keep going.
Yeah.
So I would think that an offering might be coming here soon.
I think that you're spot on with that. And remember, if we just take a step back here, even from this PR, this is a biotech company focused on becoming a revenue generating. So this is pre-revenue as it is. Yeah, it's definitely going to need to raise. Focusing on becoming revenue generating biotech and advancing early and late stage innovative therapies for critical conditions and diseases. That is not easy to do and also not cheap. And we've actually seen that with some of these other names as well. So 13, I think your assessment there is spot on with this. We'll see if we end up getting a trade here today. I mean, it is holding $2. We'll see maybe if it moves through the VWAP, but really good breakdown there. Ticker WINT. Shamir, let me know if that was what you were looking for on that as well.
A little bit of a trend here since we had that pop on Thursday. Don't know if we'll see this trend line get retested, but
You're just doing a trend from these highs, right?
that's it. Now we have to get back above VWAP first, so that's gonna be the first step. But after that, then we could look at maybe 235 to 240 before we break over that trend line.
Okay.
So that would be best case scenario.
Okay. Really good stuff there. I guess Lunar's on here. Someone might have asked about Lunar earlier. They did have a PR here. This is Intuitive Machines. They're trading higher. The company reported Q4 financial results. Stock's up 7.62% here today. Looks like the conference call is actually ongoing right here. It looks like this was a miss on sales, just slightly, and sees revenue below consensus. Interesting. Positive run rate adjusted EBITDA by the end of 2025. So I guess that's got to be what's popping it here. The revenue under the expectation here, LUNR.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. It's like, oh, that's interesting that it's still running on below the consensus guide, but it's got to be the positive run rate EBITDA. Yeah. And the environment we're in. Got to keep that in mind. This whole day today with the whole targeted tariffs on April 2nd thing, that's kind of changing the whole tune with the market right now. So I think that some things that we weren't seeing run before may actually have more follow through this week.
Okay, I did recognize a couple of other tickers here that I just kind of briefly want. We've got plenty of time, and we'll be able to get to all of the stocks that are being mentioned here, I suspect. Excuse me. A couple of things here that I wanted to take a look at. Data Vault AI, not one that I've really kind of looked into, but I noticed that this was moving here. LAES, this is one that we've traded here before. Shares are trading higher after the company announced it will acquire a 30% stake in Weekend Group in a strategic deal. So this might be popping. I know we've mentioned that on the show here before. QBTS, the quantum names, which made some news last week. This is moving here today. I guess we should check in on some of the other ones here. Rigetti up just shy of 4%. All of these charts pretty much look the same. Here's QUBT. We looked at QBTS, Rigetti. Here's QUBT. All very, very similar. So we'll see if the quantum names provide a move here today. Also notice that Tempest AI back here. This is up at the highs. This is up on kind of small volume here, but up just shy of 6%. I agree with 13. I think that this is probably moving on some of that just tariff relief. We did have last week, wasn't fresh on Friday, but last week had a bunch of these directors altering some of their positions there. UCAR, this was popping earlier here today, came all the way back in. We'll see if UCAR gets rolling here today. What's going on with this one? UPower Limited signs a joint venture between its subsidiary. That's what's going on. Targeting Thailand's multi-billion-dollar EV infrastructure boom. Yeah, get in there, 13.
So D-Wave has a conference or some kind of event. It's called Quibbits 25, and it goes from March 31st to April 1st, and it's in Scottsdale, Arizona. This could be a catalyst for the quantum names. I don't know what's going to, I haven't looked into this that much. So I don't know exactly what's going to be discussed there, but it's being hosted by D-Wave.
Should we ask our happy hour Scottsdale resident to see if he can go over and check out this quantum thing? I don't really think that's up his alley, but we'll try. We'll try. Maybe he's back from Vegas. We'll see if we can actually get some boots on the ground for that. That'd be something. So that quantum event that you were talking about, that actually starts Monday of next week.
Yeah, so here, let me just send you this so you have something. There you go.
That'll remind me to ask him later today. That's perfect.
There you go. It's in your Slack.
Oh, and I'll actually give this to the group here real quick.
Yeah.
Let's throw this in here. Boop. Sergeant Sexy Ryan, LAES is quantum security. We've, like I said, that's been one of the ones that we've traded here a number of times. Looks like that's kind of perking here again in the pre-market. We'll see if that gets rolling here today. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the movers. I guess IONQ, it's another one of those quantum names that's on there. OKLO, looks like this is moving here in the pre-market. Oklo shares are trading higher after the company announced it's engaging with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission regarding a pre-application for its combined license application for the Aurora powerhouse at Idaho National Laboratory. We'll see if this breaks above 29 and then maybe 30 here. Ultimately, what we're looking at here on the daily, 13, I almost can't even believe it, but this trend line that we added a while back, it might be time to extend that because this thing has got more active as we've let the time play out here. We'll see if Aklo can recapture that. Maybe.
Yeah,
but that's what's going on here. Okay, hello.
Got to get above. I don't know what other lagging moving averages are around that, but that could be one thing that keeps it lower is or from getting over that trend line is that there's some simple moving average in the way that's not letting it pass. It's being Gandalf.
It's being Gandalf. I like it. You'll always win with me with Lord of the Rings references. That's for sure.
I was asked about spy levels, so I can throw those out real quick.
Let's do it. I, of course, started with spy levels here, but I'm curious to hear what you think about it.
Well, one thing that we've got this morning is that we've got some movement out of this consolidation that we've been getting, the sideways price action that we've had since closer to the beginning of the month, like around Monday, March 10th. So the wicks that we were putting in last week, they were indicating that this is probably going to head lower. Well, we did go lower, and then Friday we just kind of went back and closed above Thursday's close. The levels that I have here, since we're beyond where those wicks were reaching, is we got the 20-day SMA. That's going to be in the way here. That's at 5.72 and 22 cents, so less than $1 away from here. There's also previous all-time highs that are just below where the price is trading right now. That's going to be at 5.72.10 and 5.72.88. That area was those two previous all-time highs also had a bit of sideways price action around them as well. So we could see some maybe some multiple attempts trying to get above this. But it seems like the 200-day SMA is also in line to be tested as early as today, but possibly sometime this week. It just depends on if it can get above those earlier levels I just mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, real good stuff there with the SPY. I mean, to me, the big thing here is, can it get above that? We did have the poll question here, which is currently active. I encourage you all to go vote on this. Will we see the SPY trade back above its 200-day moving average this week? So the poll question here this morning, 13, is, do we get above this?
Yeah, not sure. I mean, it looks like we're on a trajectory to, like we're gonna take it out. Like I said, early as today. Really bullish news, and we're coming off below RSI still. We're only at 46 RSI, so we have a lot more room up to go if the price wants to. I think it's entirely possible. I just don't know what this week is going to really give us, because we do have some economic reports coming out. You have GDP, PCE, the Michigan consumer sentiment has really been getting a lot of attention. So you have those, and then that takes us right into the tariffs next week on April 2nd. So I really can't say if for sure if we're going to get above and hold above the 200-day SMA, but I definitely can see the price testing it.
Yeah. So to be clear, the question is asking if we get above it, not just a test of it, but good stuff there. Okay. All right, couple of things. Aklo reports earnings after the close today. Joe's asking any thoughts on ticker ME. That's 23andMe. They're going bankrupt. We actually just covered that a couple of minutes ago. I'd be wary about buying the dip, but just know that we've seen some of those bankrupt companies or companies that announce bankruptcy end up providing some type of short-term trade. Just be very, very careful. Basically, the long and short there is that they really had no way of maintaining any type of business past the initial test kit. And that just kind of wore off. And as a result, the company is reporting bankruptcy.
Yeah, and the co-founder and CEO resigned. He's out of there.
Yeah, I mean, again, the writing's kind of on the wall, is it not?
Yep.
And that's kind of.
He says, "See ya," so do you.
There you go. That's actually a pretty good rule to live by here. Okay, Robert asking ASTS question mark. So we talked a little bit about lunar. I know ASTS. This one's off your space list here. This is actually pretty interesting because we are technically right now. We are above the 50-day moving average. We've really kind of held this area pretty well at this 24-25 area. So maybe this is just kind of moving with the overall market. I don't think there's anything new going on with this particular company.
Buy rating.
Buy from Barclays here this morning, $38 price target. That's not bad. That's not bad.
No.
I take that back.
No, it's not. It's actually right around the area where it went to in August. It's a little bit of August, like 19th and 20th, and 21st. Those are all some of the. I think those are the all-time highs for ASTS. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So we could see it curl back up there. Recapturing 50-day SMA is important. We need to get above the 20 as well. As long as we don't lose that 200, we were getting pretty close there. So that would be the moving average that we don't want to start closing beneath. But let's see if we can get back above 27.86.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff there. Really quickly, good morning, Glenn. Good morning, Jay, and good morning, Zippity. Jay, what did you think of the golf over the weekend? I thought Justin Thomas for sure was going to bring that victory home, and then Hovland just out of nowhere. Was curious on your thoughts there as well. Also, quick check in here on the futures. We continue to push higher here, 1.23% to the upside there on the S&P futures. Dow futures are now up over 1%, and Nasdaq still leading the way higher here, 1.6% to the upside. Pradnika was asking about Signet, ticker SIG. I had told you yesterday, folks, I was going to be looking to get an update on the diamond and colored stone market and then deliver it to you here. I am still going to do that. I actually scheduled dinner with my material expert for Wednesday. So I hope to be able to bring you some type of report on the diamond and colored stone market on Thursday morning. Looking at the chart here on Signet, the recent move higher here post earnings has done a great job getting us above the 50. Now we have 3 closes above that 50. I guess if we close today, or we'll have 3 closes above that 50. This is actually looking pretty good, honestly. This formation here looking pretty good. If we do not give up this 50 and we have any type of strength here and we can get back above 62, we have a potential gap fill all the way up to 73, 74 on Signet. This does have options, although I don't think they're all that liquid. Let me see here. Let me check. Yeah, this does have an option chain here, but this really not a whole lot of interest in it. I guess the April month has enough. I'm almost thinking that this would be a better trade using stock than options. But again, I will try and get you some more information on that when I see that gentleman on Wednesday.
One thing with SIG is that we are getting to have a little bit of an elevated RSI. So I would think that if we should try to get up to that gap, we could be extended up at that area. We could see some resistance or some pullback as we try to enter the gap. Just keep that in mind with where the RSI is at. I still think that the gap fill is possible, but what I'm getting at is that we may get this initial move up and then a bit of coming back in to cool off the RSI before we finish filling the gap. So that's just something that be cautious about, because RSI is almost at 62. So. And we haven't even gotten near the gap yet. Like I think we're still like $5 away. So just something to keep in mind. Like I think there may be some good trading opportunities in this one, but I don't know that I'd want to necessarily buy and hold here. I think I'd want to wait for the RSI to cool off a little bit. I don't want to give anybody's trading plan a screw job here, but I think the RSI is a little elevated to fill the gap. Is all I'm getting at.
Okay. Well, I think one of the things you could see here is if this trades sideways at all, especially holding and building above that 50-day moving average, that might be that like kind of compressing spring that we need to really break it through that 62. And that would, if it does that at the same time, that would also help bring the RSI in. So we'll see. We'll see if it's able to do that. Ryan, JT, his go-to shot let him down, double cross instead of a power fade. Man, I wish I had more than one shot I could do consistently in my bag, but it was good television watching nonetheless. See Spot mentioning that MLGO just went.
Yeah.
That's not a surprise. MLGO to the moon. Look, I'm sure we'll be checking in on some of those movers here, throughout the course of the day, especially if that thing's rolling. I do want to continue to roll through some of the some of the other larger stocks here that folks wanted to see. Take a quick look here at MLGO. You can see it did actually break that pre-market high area that we talked about at 375. Nice little break and a move above. Let's wait for this to settle. As I mentioned, though, we will definitely check in on this one again. Hood bros, let's do that. Boeing. We'll start here with Boeing real quick. Who was this? This is DC. Good morning, DC. It's great to see you here. Thoughts here on Boeing. Boeing's up 2.4% here. I'll tell you what, 13, the trend line that we added here on Boeing, this has really, really been awesome. This goes all the way back to COVID. What happened to my moving averages right here? In any case, we have bounced off of this. This still looking pretty good here. I think what's going on with this one is it really comes down to the execution on how they're going to do with their 737 and I think the 787 jet. We did see last week some more orders for those. Looking at the chart here, sure looks like this 1.8. I still think we could probably test 200. I do have no position on this, so I'd be interested in maybe looking into another position here. 13, do you have anything on this one? Let me see if I can get there we go. There's our moving averages back. We're holding above the 50. We're just shy of the 500. What do you got here on ticker BA Boeing?
Yeah, we had a really nice move over the 200-day SMA last week. If they have some of their quality control issues ironed out, or they're going to make real lasting changes to that, then this stock looks a lot better because that's really what was pulling it down. But they have a huge backlog of orders to fulfill, so they are going to be busy. And then you throw on this a new F-47 jet that's going to likely take some time to develop, but they're going to be getting money from that as well. So it's looking better for Boeing right now. The 500-day SMA, that's going to be, I think, the true test here. It's at 190 and 92 cents. So let's call it 91. Let's see it close above 91. That could we start doing that, we might be able to get back above or back up to the top of the broadening wedge that I know I drew that for you a long time ago, but it's going to be well over 300 if we do try to touch that again. RSI has been extended here, so my first thought on reaching 500-day SMA is that it doesn't close over it. It might pull back, let the RSI cool off, and then the next visit it goes through it. Just another reason to watch the RSI. I don't want to say, oh yeah, this thing's going to break out through the 500 and we're going to take off. It's going to have to cool off at some point soon. It's had some really good moves off the lows here from March 10th or looks like March 10th. So I think it's going to have to chill out a little bit if we're going to make that move through the 500 and hold.
Okay. Real good stuff there on Boeing. Guys, news happens fast here. MLGO, after ripping, has now PR'd an offering at 80 cents. So as if we, be careful. Oh, it needs money. 13. Well done here. As Webcoin said, watch out below.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
Is everyone having fun on a Monday morning?
And this is the same kind of thing that could happen with wind. Just putting that out there.
Just putting it out there. Good stuff there, 13. Okay, let's keep rolling here. We do have a couple of more stocks we want to take a look at. A shout out to the chat here. You folks woke up on a Monday undeterred by it being a Monday and are ready to go here, and I am here for it. Here's your hood chart. We talked about this one too. What a pullback. We're really kind of a steep pullback here. Pulled right back to the consolidation area and bottomed at the bottom end of that consolidation area. Tell you what, on almost all of the charts that we look at, the volume profile here really kind of telling the story on hood. We're above the 20-day. We've done a really good job holding the 100-day. We have our sights set at 48.50. That's going to be your next level here. That represents the 50-day moving average. We'll see if this is able to provide some type of, bullish move higher, or if we can entice that. You can see here's a trend break that we've recently done. We'll see where hood goes here. Next spot for me, 48.50. I have no position here on hood. I would also imagine with the way Bitcoin is moving, should be pretty good for hood as well.
48.50, I agree. That 50-day SMA is going to be the big test if we're turning around here or not. Look at the price action on the way down. We got support from the 50-day SMA, and then once we lost it, then we start to fall. Didn't get down to the 200-day SMA, fortunately, but it is starting to reverse or trying to reverse. I would be very careful about trading this beneath the 500. I'm sorry, the 50-day SMA. I'd like to see this get back above it for more upside. I just wouldn't buy it right here personally. So I just don't want to see another rejection of that 50-day SMA and then see it go down again. So if we can hold above the 50-day SMA, that'd be a good sign for me to go long.
Okay. First of all, by the way, chat, I know that we're talking here about MLGO. I absolutely love what I've been seeing from all of you from the beginning. You guys are on top of the movers. You guys are warning each other about being careful, on top of all of the news. Just very, very well done from the group here this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if that is any indication, that bodes well for this week. You guys obviously came to bring, guys and gals, excuse me. You guys... I corrected myself and then I did the same thing. You folks are doing a really good job here early. Okay. Hood, Bros, Oost. We can also take a look at OUST as well. Yes, we've got 11 minutes. We got oceans of time here today. I'm not used to having all this time prior to the market open in the pre-market. Normally feel like I'm pretty pressed for time, but not today. By the way, that pull from that offering news on MLGO, that made it bounce off the VWAP. Again, if you're trading that one, just be careful. You know what the situation is, there. So just be careful. Bros here, ticker BROS. This thing, congrats to our happy hour crew that, I made money on this a while back. I wish I would have just stayed with it because it was this last earnings pop where the real money was to be made here. Two earnings ago, we popped and then grinded into another one where we really popped. Now we've given all of that back, but we're pretty much right at that level. We're actually just shy of the 50-day moving average, and we're just shy of this previous breakout level. I like the stock just because it's fun. And I know that Bros has quite a following. I'm not sure how I feel on this one in terms of its, being properly priced. And in fact, Jay, I'm sorry, I totally forgot to mention this. I had this highlighted and then I just moved on like an idiot. And this stock, Bros, reminded me really quickly here on Hood. Jay also mentioning that this is not expensive either. So we were talking about some of those different levels. Forward PE here on Hood is 32. This has definitely come in. And when we take a look at some of these other stocks that have these ridiculous PEs here, Hood, much more manageable. If I compare that to Bros forward PE of 109, almost 110. This one seems much more expensive. Now, the stock's up 4% here in the pre-market. We're butting up against that 50-day moving average. If we break above that, could the stock see some more upside momentum? Yeah, sure, it could. I'm a little skeptical here, though. No position for me on Bros. I'd watch and see if it can't really get above that 66.5. Maybe this thing could test lower here. This thing hasn't really tested its 200 days since it started to break away. Maybe we can end up getting that here, and we're about to have the 20-day cross through the 50 there. You got anything here on Bros? Does anything jump out at you?
Couple things. You can just do a trend line from the top of this move here down through the March 3rd high. There you go. Yep, that's March 3rd. Yep, just draw that trend line. Now, the reason I drew this is because I think we do need to break this for one, but we're going to see a move over the 50 and 20-day SMAs before we see that break, in my opinion. What's going to happen is if we don't close above the 50-day SMA, I think we could trend down some more. We've had last week we had multiple days where it tried to get above the 50-day SMA, could not hold above it, came back in. Now we're trying to get above it again. I could see a scenario where we even trade up to this trend line that you just drew up to 70, where that's a resistance area, and then we start to come back in. So I feel like we need to move over not just these SMAs, but we need to break this trend and get over $70 in order to see more upside. So I think it's a bit of a tall order. It still doesn't look like it's completely started to recover yet, but those things, what I just mentioned, those events would change my tune about that.
Okay. Good stuff there on Bros, ticker BROS. This is another happy hour winner here. Had a lot of discussions about this one because of some boots on the ground from the younger generation that seems to love this store. And we actually saw that reflected in the earnings. So that worked out. Jay here, Ryan, I think the PE of 32 on Hood is high. They did $1.01 last quarter. Okay, what you were saying, how was it? What metric are you looking at to determine if it's cheap or expensive on Hood? Nonetheless, good stuff there. And good stuff here this morning. Okay, Oost. OUST. I'll be honest with you. I like covering the stock just because I like saying Oost. I don't know what that says about me, but you take that for what it's worth. What's going on with this one? You can see here on Friday, this thing up massively, up almost 32%. We actually had a trader that used to trade Oost quite a bit. I think Sally, if you're out there, shout out. Oost coming back with a vengeance here, plus 32%. This was on the back of earnings last week, right? Friday after hours, they reported earnings where they beat on the top and the bottom line. And I believe that the guide, the guide was pretty much right in line. The higher end of the guide was above the estimate there. So they didn't really get hit there.
It was Thursday. They had earnings after hours, and then we had this big
huge move on Friday. Yep.
Yeah.
And that thank you. So one of the things that contributed to that, Rosenblatt maintained a buy, maintained their $17 price target. This has become totally out of whack from that price target. Price target raised to 11 from 10 at Cantor. West Park reiterated their hold. So Cantor and Rosenblatt, two pretty good firms here, still holding higher here. Oost is pretty much right at that target. So, okay, I have to remind myself what this does. Ooster Inc. provides LiDAR sensors for the automotive, industrial, robotics, and smart infrastructure industries. So looking like that is picking up here in stock. So here, I guess this is the $64,000 question. Look, here's your daily chart. You can see where this has really kind of come from. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see some of the moves that it's made recently. Let's zoom in a little bit more so we can take a look at the recent price action. Friday's candle did a lot of work on the daily here. We popped above the 20, or we held the 20. Then we popped above the 100, 250. We also, in that process, the 50 was literally toying with the death cross. It was ready to death cross, and now we've punched above it. So it'll be interesting to see if this can stay higher, maybe move higher, and make it so that 50 is basically just testing it as opposed to crossing through it. 13, what do you think here? Ticker OUST.
Oh, I think you covered pretty much most of it. The 500-day SMA was a really good support area the end of February, beginning of this month. That's helped to turn around. One area that is really interesting to me, and we're kind of trading in it right now, is 1140. If you look at Thursday, April 4th of 2024, that was the high that day. And if you draw a line at 1140, you can see that that particular level has been an interesting support and resistance area. So I think if we start closing above 1140 again, we may end up going to those highs at some of those price targets we're looking for. Somewhere around $14 to $16.
Okay. Really good stuff there. OUST.
There you go. How does that look? That 1140. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it looks great, dude. This is very, very clearly a level. So we'll see if we can hold above that 1140. Currently at 1150 here, OUST.
Fairchild with a really good
Which? Where?
He said he heard Disney may start a defense program since all they produce is bombs. And I'm sure he's referring to Snow White, that live action that just came out.
Fairchild.
Absolutely getting hammered.
Hey, like I said to you all, I said this even before Fairchild's amazing joke. Y'all came to play here on Monday. Nobody's got a case of the Monday blues or anything like that. Y'all are out here, and I am here for it.
It's fun day today.
Did you say pun day?
No, fun day.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, here we go. Now, given that, let's be fair here. Given what Fairchild is saying, and I'll look. This is never a movie that I was going to go see. Just on general principle. But I did check X a number of times over the weekend. And anytime this got mentioned, it was attached to extreme negativity. And I don't just mean from the regular culprits that you would think. It doesn't look like anybody liked this movie.
I was following the development of this because it's one of the things that I follow. and this thing was going through production hell and backlash left and right, going between this whole ragtag crew of what was supposed to be dwarves that ended up being bandits, and then CGIing dwarves, the lead actress not being liked at all. Just all kinds of things, and they were just like, okay, well, they're still going forward with it. They really need to knock this out of the park. They couldn't even hit a single. So this is probably going to, and oh yeah, they also canceled the press tour for this. They were supposed to have a premiere night, and they canceled that because they were too worried about the negative backlash affecting the opinion of people that hadn't seen the movie or that wanted to see the movie. This is just a catastrophe for Disney's movie businesses.
look, the producer, I tell you, the producer is also feeling feisty. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the springtime across the globe. Everyone's got energy and feistiness. And like I said, I'm here for the smiles.
Brian, you watch Critical Drinker. Watch his take on Snow White. I think you'll laugh.
Okay. I do. We're open. Wow.
Perfect. Here we go.
Happened fast. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, and then one more question here. I wanted to mention this. Jay Summers. Great to see you again, Jay Summers. How long can Tesla keep Musk as CEO? Has experienced a $10 billion a day in stock loss over the past 100 days. Okay, so I'm just going to answer this question outright here. I don't think they replaced him. I don't think there's any chance that happens, at least not in the near term. The losses that you're highlighting here, all paper losses, number one, unless you're closing the books on some of those. We had news last week about him telling the company that they're in a really good position and hang on to your shares. You're probably going to be sorry. Tesla has come off the lows, although it's pulling here out of the open. And then there was one more thing on this. Jay, you had mentioned this. I didn't want to report this because it was just anecdotal, but because you brought it up, I'm going to also bring it up here. Jay, you had said earlier that the Tesla Model Y is selling out everywhere despite all of the bad press. So it's interesting that you mentioned this. I was going for some joy rides this weekend because I actually had some pretty good weather, and I drove by the local Tesla dealership here, and it was jammed. I don't think I've seen a dealership, let alone a Tesla dealership, have that many people. I could see them from the street. I could see people in and walking around the dealership. It was absolutely jammed. That is completely anecdotal. I have no data to back that up. I'm not making a trade off that. But Jay, you reminded me from when you say that. Jay Summers, to answer your question, I don't think there's any chance they move Elon Musk out of the CEO there. I think that this is a short-term blip that gets deleted in the long-term chart. Okay. Where are we at after that opening print? SPY looks like it pulled off here a little, still holding higher here by 1%, though, plus 1.04% on the SPY.
Went pulling down.
Went? Okay. Mm-hmm. They didn't announce an offering like you suspected, did they? No. Okay.
No.
Just making sure.
Not yet, but they still could.
Okay. Just making sure there. Oh, and then you know what? Let me reset my option flow here as well. We'll take a look at some of that option flow here today.
And INOD moving higher out of the gate. Really big spread. Be careful with that one.
Someone mentioned, I can't remember who it was earlier, but someone mentioned INOD earlier. How early were we on this, 13? How early was our group on this? Oh, by the way, another trade from last week here. FCX. Oh, yeah. I highlighted that one. This is working. Higher we go here on FCX. Love to see it.
That's doing much better. Dollar General is doing much better. It's down today, but that moving pretty well off of the lows from earlier this month. Looking for a break of 85. That's been the big resistance area over the past 6 months. So need to, it was support at one point, but ever since we came down here in August under 85, it's been having a hard time getting back above and staying above it. So especially after, once November started, couldn't recapture 85 on multiple attempts, went lower. This is looking like it's really starting to turn around. So looking for a break of 85.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is up. Once those that news of the tariffs being more targeted on April 2nd is really sending the market higher. And if the dollar weakens, that might actually get some of those foreign investors rotating back into stocks on the U.S. side.
Indeed. Look at Lunar, dude. This is blasting off to the moon right out of the open here. How's MLGO doing? Wow. So MLGO post offering trying to make a run towards the highs. Still, though, I still want to emphasize being careful on this name. I'm
I would
probably just going to stay away from this one,
I would be
honestly.
careful with that too.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Let's see some Tesla calls here this morning. Tesla's ripping off the bottom. I almost wonder if what did we print there? 220. We didn't quite get down there. I almost think of that 220 handle if that's going to be your near-term low.
I was asked about levels for Lunar, and one of the things I've done with Lunar, because it seems to behave really well with these multiples of 5, is I put levels at 10, 15, 20, and 25. When you do, you can see that they've been behaving pretty well with these levels. And so that means that the next one it has to get back over is $10. And you have the 20-day SMA and the 200-day SMA right in there. The 20-day SMA is at 10.08, and the 200 is at 9.97. And that is a resistance area. So $10 is going to have to be a big area for this price to get back over. If it does that, I think we could end up going to 15, maybe even higher.
Okay. Real good here, folks. We did close the first poll here. Looks like we're going to be coming up with another one here for you soon. First poll is going to be regarding the SPY. So I want to show you that daily chart and where we're at. Oh, we are just short of that 20-day moving average. Will the SPY trade back above its 200-day moving average this week? 57% of you said yes. 24% of you said no. I voted for no just to make things interesting. I'm going to stay consistent with my call of waiting for it to test that 200 and then short it. So I said no. We'll see if I'm right. 18% of you said not sure. I suspect that there's the same people are voting not sure every time because those numbers are almost always the same. But nonetheless, there you go. We will run another Bitcoin poll here in a little bit on that. So there you go with the poll results. Let's see if there was anything else. Fairchild, in rural areas, only big ag buys anything big ticket brand new. Totally reuse, resell, and repair. That has me wondering here if there's a trade on something like a DE, which obviously they're trying to do all those repairs in-house and not letting people repair products on their own. Likewise, is there a trade to be made here in Caterpillar? Caterpillar, by the way, right at a trend line that we had identified. This also coincides with the volume point of control in a big area there in terms of its volume shelf. So let me know what you think about there on that. Let me move back to the main workspace. Lunar looks like just above, what was that high there that we printed? 869? And we backed off that spot. We'll see if that gets rolling here again. MLGO on its way to that 487 pre-market high. This has actually become a little bit more extended from its VWAP as well. WINT looks like a little drop and pop there. No news for the offering yet. We'll see if we get that. NAK, Northern Dynasty Minerals. Nice move here out of the open.
NAK. STFUFS says the lunar breakout level looks either 871 or 936. Let me take a look at those levels.
Okay.
Let's see what he's referring to.
Seeing some Intel puts get bought here. Intel actually traded higher out of the open. NVIDIA, that moved higher and pulled back. Apple moved higher and then pulled back. All of these are holding on to red. These are, I'm interested because these are some of the Mag 7 names. Here's Meta. This is going higher here as well. So Meta never touched its 200-day, or at least not yet. Maybe we'll still get that here. See if there's anything else interesting on this. Lending Club, nice little sweep there as Lending Club's trading up out of the open.
So
continuing higher, get in there. I'm sorry.
No worries. So STFU, what you're saying is the consolidation area, the highs from the October consolidation, that's going to be one of your earlier breakout areas. We're kind of right up to there. I think we almost got up there this morning, maybe a matter of cents away. And then that other one you're referring to, that one looks more like like it could be a stronger resistance area than this 871, just because of the price action we've had there. I mean, I could see them being resistance areas. I don't necessarily know about breakout levels. It's possible, but for me, it's going to be right around the $10 area because of all those different moving averages. The psychological level that's been $10 has been support before. So we could see some of those two levels be resistance and then get a big move over them. I don't disagree with you there. But I think that for me, the big level is going to be the $10 area based upon where those SMAs are kind of converging.
So far here, Lunar seems like it's holding right here at 850. By the way, I'm keeping an eye on MLGO as well. Looks like this is still staying under that pre-market high. And a lot of action here, though. A lot of volume on this one. We'll see if this gets rolling here. I don't trust that one. WINT, this is popping towards its VWAP there. 216 is going to be that next spot we'll see there.
Yep, and then that trend line. Oh, you didn't put it on that one.
Oh, you know what, though? I can. Hang on a sec. That was just from the highs, right? That was just these? Oh, no.
No, it was going all the way back to Thursday. When we had
that's
the
news. Right. I'm sorry.
NAC has huge gold and copper deposit in Alaska. So they don't have the infrastructure out there built up to start the mine, right? So that could be some time.
What part of Alaska just out of curiosity? The only reason I ask is because I a huge fan of those Boneyard podcasts with Joe Rogan. That guy's a gold miner that lives up in Alaska. I'm just wondering if there's any connection or anything like that. Nonetheless. This is interesting. Fairchild, I'd asked you earlier, a big ag in our area is starting to buck DE pretty hard. But more important is the contracts that the government is canceling. Many are not going to be leasing harvesting equipment from DE. So when we had first talked about this, we had said that, this is terrible for the end users of the Deere product, but it's actually probably going to be good for Deere. I said if they start canceling contracts, I think that entire equation changes, Fairchild. This is a pretty good piece of information here. Let us know. Keep us abreast of what's going on there as you get more information on that. Appreciate you, Fairchild.
I posted a link to Northern or whatever the NAC is, their company name. I posted Northern Dynasty Minerals. I posted a link to their to different project maps that they have from their website. It's in your Slack, so if you want to share that.
Okay, let me. Oh. Here's the link that 13 was just mentioning. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fairchild. Appreciate you.
Looks like Wint is trying to go higher here. It's got a big wall at 215. It's trying to break over. There it goes. Just took out part of it.
216. Well, actually, the VWAP has adjusted here to 215. So technically, we're above it. We'll see if that trend line gets tested next. MLGO slowed down a little bit there, but hasn't rolled over yet. Don't think it's done yet on MLGO. XHLD, this has been down out of the open so far. It looks like that went right to the VWAP. So far, it's holding it. OKLO, this whoever, Hans, I think it was you earlier reminding us that we have earnings after hours here today on OKLO. That's another good mention. This moving higher right out of the open on the back of that PR regarding the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission regarding its pre-application.
No, I get that line, Atlas, but I'm just saying that if they don't have anything built out there yet, like if they have none of the infrastructure needed in order to start the mining, tomorrow, then it's going to be some time before they get that up and running. It could be a year, it could be multiple years before we see anything extracted or any profits from that mine. But it's good that they that they're going to be able to start mining now that they've got the regulation. I don't know if Trump's removed the regulation that Biden put in, but if that's the plan, then it could be good in the future, but it's going to take some CapEx.
Real quick here, Michael Del Sesto. That actually sounds like a DJ name. That's pretty sweet. Is Matt Money Maley? I love that. Shout out to you, Michael. Is Matt on today? Yes. As far as I'm aware, he is scheduled to come on. By the way, folks, got a little treat for you. I'll give this again when Matt's here. But just threw a link to a checkout page for Matt's Inner Circle service that also has a 7-day trial attached to it. So if you're interested in following Matt and all of his trades, There's your link for that. Yes, we should be having him on here in about 15 minutes.
Ooh, right.
Matt's a busy guy, so if the schedule adjusts, we're flexible here. But as far as I'm aware, that is the plan. MLGOs, this comment here, I love this one. Shadowed one. I can't believe MLGO retook the highs after announcing an offering. Technically, it did not retake those pre-market highs yet, but the point that you're making here is still sound. This thing pulled right after that, and now it's actually trading up to that. I would not be shocked, frankly, if it tries to test that. I would also not be shocked if we had a gigantic knife and pull after that, which we've seen from plenty of these names here. There's your MLGO.
Wint continues to get the business from the VWAP. It just got slapped back down beneath it again. Looks like Brigetti is trying to push up and over through 10.
IONQ, same deal here on 25.26. So it looks like those quantum names probably all doing something similar here.
Yeah. QBT also similar to Brigetti.
What's the news on ANGI? I don't see that popping up here on my list, but we can sure check for you. This is going to be Angie. I don't have any fresh news here today. Was this from Friday? Okay, so on Friday, that had Angie's List trading halt news pending. So what news was it then?
This could be just another one of those stocks that, because the market is up and running, that.
Well, it looks like it was halted on Friday.
Well, yeah, but it has a high short interest, is what I was getting at. What I'm getting at is that I don't think that what happened on Friday is what's causing it to move today. I think because of its high short interest and the environment that we're in, it's causing it. And it's not up on very many shares traded either. It's only up on almost 24,000.
Yeah, it's just strange because it said it was halted for news pending, but then I didn't see any news. So let me see if I can. Let me see it. ANGI. The chat might already have this here. Now I have a Stone song stuck in my head. Okay, well, it could be worse than that.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with Angie's List.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm seeing it being included in a lot of 1 for 10 reverse split. Is that really what happened? 1 for 10. There you go. Okay. We got to the bottom of this. And Benzinga Pro did have it in there. So this is effective today. Angie, 1 for 10 reverse split. So it looks like we kind of thinned up here on the float. Looks like this is moving. That was probably what that halt was for. So there you go. There's ANGI.
Yep, I agree.
Actually, double bottom here around 15 that it looks like it traded up off of. But okay, there we go. Good stuff bringing that up.
Not really up a whole lot. I mean, it's come off its bottom, yeah. But I mean, if you look at what it was trading at prior, this thing was up in the 20s, the 30s. It's got to recapture that 50-day SMA now.
S&P futures continuing to trade higher here. We are actually at the highs. I'm going to come back to TSLL here in a sec. We're getting some data here going on. S&P global manufacturing. Global manufacturing PMI for March 49.8 versus the 51.9 estimate. The prior read was 52.7. Global services PMI for March 54.3 versus the 51.2 estimate. Prior read there was from 51. Global composite PMI for March 53.5 versus the 51.6 read. So market looks like it popped to the highs on that. Dow, NASDAQ, and SPY across the board. And MLGO also near the highs, looking like it was testing that. Real quick here regarding TSLL. Sorry, 13, I'll get you in there on that data here in a sec. TSLL here. Shout out to Jay for bringing this up. We had the direction guy on Ed last week. And remember, folks, he had told us that he saw a lot of bullish flows into the leveraged bull ETFs, with the exception of China. So what he was referring to there, NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, all of those common leveraged ETFs, they were seeing inflows into that, bullish inflows I'm almost not surprised to see TSLL higher here. Jay, shout out for mentioning the direction vehicles there. 13, what did you have on that data? Anything?
Oh no, I don't even think I was making a comment. I was just taking a look at NAK. I have a trend line here that I drew some time ago. You can even draw it. It goes back to 2017. It's just a trend line from the highs, the peaks. We're coming up to that trend line again. Yeah, you have to go back several years. There you go. There you go. Now you've seen it.
All right. So this one right here, right?
I started with the February 17th.
2017. Okay, so here you go. So you started on this one. So we're going to go like this. We're going to draw it right through that high. This is the trend line that we're coming up to. Wim, bam, boom. Nice job.
So 120, that's the spot, I think. It wouldn't surprise me if we ended up getting there as early as today and then reversing. We're going to have to at some point. The RSI is very extended. So, just keep that in mind if you're still trading NAK. RSI is over 81 now.
Freeport McMoran. This is also higher. Remember, Anne-Marie gave out a butterfly on Freeport last week as well. So if you didn't even follow the unusual option sweep, we also had a butterfly for you there as well. Okay. Also, what did I miss here? I think I wanted to cover something from the chat here. Oh, Izzy. Good morning, Izzy. I know you're going to get at me if I don't mention this here. Amazon, this has been just a really great move out of here. Shout out to us. We were talking about that 200 being the big level here. You can see what Amazon's really done recently. Broke that downtrend here. We've recaptured 200. And as long as we stay above 200 here, you probably have some more room on Amazon. Izzy, I know you have had great calls on Amazon. Looks like that's working for you again. MLGO, by the way, did now take out that pre-market high post offering. And actually the volume sticks are looking pretty good here as well.
Yep. Don't know exactly where this goes to, but we can figure some levels if we look at our chart. I have 650 marked off here from one of the times we were looking at this. Don't know if we'll see that today. But it seems like lately, ever since we've had this wild price action starting back on February 21st, it's been having a hard time holding above the, let's call it the 515 level. No closes above that. Seeing some prints above it, but no closes.
Okay.
Maybe even call it the $5 level, since you don't have any closes above that either. So $5 is going to have to see some closure above that today in order to potentially go higher later on. Getting asked about
Rich Tech Robotics here. This is at the highs. Looks like a couple of you were taking a look at that. GTLO. Did someone mention this in the pre-market? Kathy, was this you asking about GLTO? Galecto. Did this have news or was this just from Friday? So nothing. Okay, Wednesday. So it looks like they reported earnings on Wednesday. I'm not sure why this is moving, but man, up almost 10% here today. Here's your WINT. Let's see what that's done. That really couldn't get above the VWAP, at least not yet. Tesla continuing to rip to the upside. I'd see here Rayland saying, got out of my Tesla too early. Boo. Sounds like you made some gains on that. You should be given another opportunity here on Tesla, I would imagine. TEM is going.
What's the deal with TEM?
It's just kind of trading with the market, I think. I didn't see any news on this. It is up 10% here, though. Yeah, nothing fresh on this. Last piece of news was some Form 4 stuff from Wednesday of last week. Lunar here really couldn't get above those 850 highs for any considerable amount of time. See if it makes another run towards that. I see IONQ and QUBT on here. So those quantum plays seem to be juiced a little bit. TNXP, we talked about this one recently, this rolling higher here. Tonix Pharmaceutical shares trading higher after the company announced the FDA will not require an advisory committee on one of its drugs, TNX 102SL. Wow, this was a huge, wow. This was $22 last week. This stock's up 50% here on the back of that news. TNXP, whoever had this one, really good stuff. This was not on my radar. I know we talked about this last week, but I didn't think there was going to be much continuation here. Really good stuff.
You know, big old move with MLGO just a moment ago. It took it up to 536, and now it's pulling. XHLD breaking down.
Yeah, and then Grell was the other one. Jay, good mention on that one. We talked about this one last week. I can't remember if you were here or not. This one, I'm almost wondering here if this had that huge move to 63. I mean, this is a double from where we're at here. This actually might be interesting for a swing here. If you think this has got more in it, this is going to be what, cancer detection? July 50 calls, pretty interesting. 320 ask. This spread about 70 cents. No, this growl might be one for Anne Marie. I might ask her about this on Tuesday tomorrow. We'll see. Dollar General, unfortunately, pulling back 2% here today. It's probably with just the nice move here in the market. Done a good job holding above here. I still like DG higher here, just kind of taking a break today. S&P futures continuing to move higher here, 1.45% to the upside at the highs. Bros, which we talked about, this higher out of the open. Planet Labs, this one also making a move to 420. Next, strong positive momentum, indeed.
All those space plays. Well, it looks like Virgin Galactic's not having the greatest day, but not surprising there. I don't know what how space tourism figures into the different space plays we're looking at, because all of these they actually have some actual product. Not that Virgin Galactic doesn't have something, but how often are they going to have those launches? What is the angle for Virgin Galactic? Can anybody tell me? I don't see the space tourism thing, really really getting off the ground, I guess.
I like what you did there.
That's just me. I mean, it's unless it becomes a more economically available. Like it's a better price point for people to experience it. I just don't see it really, here I go again, taking off. But all these other ones, Redwire, Rocket Lab, Rocket Lab now back over 20. And they had missed an opportunity there. No, maybe not. Yeah, Rocket Lab, Redwire. I like all these companies, but they still look like they're a little bit, their charts are bearish.
Walmart is up here today. I'm actually seeing some put flow into Walmart. More puts coming across on Tesla. Looks like people are buying puts into this move higher on Tesla. MLGO went higher, 536 your intraday high. Still waiting for that tonight. That's actually fairly extended from the VWAP MLGO. Grats if you have that. Make sure if you guys are trading that one that you're selling or that you're booking gains on that at least.
What's all this antimony discussion that I'm seeing here? Because I know that we talked about antimony a while back, and that was back in September when I think the one of the earliest moves were happening. Yeah, because in August they announced that China was going to put a restriction and export controls on antimony, and we have antimony plays here in the U.S. Like I don't think antimony is something that we're really struggling with. UAMI was one of the ones that we were trading. There was another one. I think Lion Atlas might be able to remind me what that one was, because he was talking about it. But U.S. antimony, I don't think that's a big supply chain concern. It's just that we're not going to be getting it from China. We have a secure supply chain of that, is my understanding.
Seeing a piece of news come across here. OpenAI chief Sam Altman's World Network is in talks with Visa for a stablecoin payments wallet. So that would be CoinDesk and ticker V, Visa. Trump's having another cabinet meeting with Musk today. I'm not sure that's going to, I guess the result of whatever comes out of that would maybe move the stock. I'm not sure that's notable though. Netflix, nice little dip and rip. Apple, nice little dip. Amazon, no chill as that's moving higher. And RCAT here, by the way, RCAT moved higher here in the pre-market and didn't really pull out of that. That's a pretty good sign. This is going to be one of those speculative names that so far, at least here, holding some of its gains higher. I didn't see any fresh news on RCAT. Yeah, nothing fresh here that we need to be made aware of. What else do we miss here? Healthcare and staples are your weak link. That's going to be your rotation. So we saw kind of the opposite of that last week, huh? Here's your heat map. Boy, a lot of this looks like St. Patrick's Day. Came a week late here. I only see a couple of red dots amongst a sea of green here. Lockheed Martin, Bristol Myers, AstraZeneca.
STFU is saying from Reuters that China export controls freeze antimony shipments to EU from October. So it's not the US, it's EU that is the issue here, is what you're saying.
CAPS is going, and there's a new poll up. Thank you, producer. Here's your CAPS ticker. This is going on volume. We have any news on this? Nothing fresh.
You know, it's interesting now that I think about it with the antimony shipments to the EU. We're seeing a lot of increased spending out of the EU because they're going to be dumping more money into defense spending. Well, antimony is used in a lot of defense equipment. So that could be the angle there.
By the way, seeing more FCX calls at that 50 strike. Looks like that is still hot here. Celsius, Crow, are you out there? Weren't you the one that called Celsius to 40? This thing has moved up off of 30 consistently. Here's your spot. We moved right to 30. We held it. Now we've moved higher here. 4.5 points higher here. CELH.
Winch getting mentioned. That finally, it's kind of sideways all morning. Not able to hold above the VWAP.
Yeah, it's that VWAP is going to be your line in the sand there, I think.
Oh, it has been all morning.
Yeah.
It looks like NAC is going to make its way to that trend line that we just drew. Just hit 115. All this on what news we just got this morning?
Okay. Crow. There's Crow. Yep, I'm in solid. So you still have their $40 target there on Celsius. Stuff there. All right. Move back here. Move to the SPY chart. Okay. Ask and you shall receive. Folks, it is 10 o'clock on a Monday. You know what that means. It's time for Matt Maley. Let's bring him on. Matt, good morning. Happy Monday. Look, I'm just going to start off with the question everybody wants to know. How are your brackets doing?
You know, they're doing okay. They're doing okay. You know, like everything else. I get a few that I like. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got that upset. And then of course the other upset, you know, it ends up, you know, they lose by 50 points, and I look like an idiot. But
that's exactly why we love March Madness, because it is indeed madness.
Well, and it cracks me up. You would think that people would understand this, and they do. But I mean, in other words, and trade in front of it. But DraftKings. I mean, the stock always goes up right in front of the Super Bowl and then sells off after the Super Bowl. And then it rallies right back up into the NCAA tournament. And after the tournament, it goes back down. Now, that makes sense because people bet a lot more for those two events. But you'd think that it would run up in advance of that because everybody knows it's going to happen. And then it might, sell off as the just before it starts. But that doesn't happen. Well, in this case, we'll see what happens here. And DraftKings is, it did it, it rallied nicely before the Super Bowl, but of course, because the overall market was getting hit, it didn't bounce back now. So I wouldn't be surprised if this market doesn't roll back over. It's going to be an interesting play, again, on a very short term.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a pretty good mention here. This is just slightly above its 200-day here. We've tried trading the DraftKings Super Bowl relationship before, and it's never really worked out. Interesting note here. We'll see if DraftKings can get some find its footing here. Glad to hear that your brackets aren't completely broken. I too am still in it. And believe me, Matt, I'm surprised about that.
Yeah.
My big claim to fame here was picking Arkansas for where they've gone. So go Hogs. Okay, we have some pretty interesting stuff moving on, going with the market here too. Of course, the biggest news from this weekend is that maybe the tariffs aren't going to be as bad as the market was initially thinking last week. Just taking a look here at the SPY, we've traded up. We're basically butting up to the 200-day. What do you see out there tariff-wise and just kind of with the broader market?
Well, I mean, the market bounced before today. Was up. What's up now? So it's up about whatever 2.5. So it's up about 3.5% now from the lows. And that's a mild bounce, and not a big surprise. But the thing is, like you mentioned, that 200-day moving average is one everybody's looking at. The numbers this morning on the S&P Global's PMI numbers. The manufacturing was weaker, but the services were stronger. So that helped to goose the market a little bit more. But can we break above this 200-day moving average? And my big thing is that I think that the tariff issue is, although it's certainly important, it's not the number one issue why the market's been getting hit. Long before these tariffs, or that we realized that the Trump administration was going to be very aggressive on both tariffs and on Doge. There was already seeing weakness in the consumer, with consumer stocks getting hit and the data going weaker, the housing stocks getting hit and the housing stocks data getting weaker, the transportation stocks, same thing. So those economically sensitive stocks were already getting weaker. The market was very expensive. So whether we had tariffs or not, this market was ripe for a pullback. And I guess my point is that Trump always comes out with real extreme things and then pairs them back. That's what he's doing right now. The question I guess my issue is that April 2nd is not the most important date right now. There's not one date. It's going to be the April earnings season, which are actually spill into early May, because these earnings estimates have been coming down not just since Trump became president. They've been coming down for 6 to 8 months, and if they continue to fall, Goldman Sachs last week lowered their estimates from to a 7% gain for this year. They say, well, 7% is pretty good. Well, that's down from 14% 2.5 months ago. Okay. And with a market, again, which is still trading at 20 times earnings, that's not a good situation. So I guess my point is that I've been saying investors should sell the bounces. The bounce that we saw for 6 days going into Friday was a very small one. So the fact that we're getting more of one today doesn't surprise me, and we could see it a little bit more. Maybe you can peak above that 200-day moving average before it rolls back over. But the outlook is not the outlook. The headwinds that are being created are not just on the tariff issue. I don't think tariffs are going to completely disappear. Number one, and number two, we have these earnings issues and economic issues that we have to worry about.
Okay, that is so well said. That I know you couldn't join us last week because your obligations. I spent all of last week preparing the group for a potential move back up to the 200-day, and an inability to really kind of close and move above it might actually present a fairly decent opportunity to maybe play some more downside here, play with puts or something of that nature.
Right.
And this is exactly what we're seeing here today. So really, really good stuff. The other thing that I have a question, do you have any thoughts on any of the Mag 7 names? We talked about them being Mag 7. Some people call them the Lag 7. Where are you with this?
Well, to be honest with you, I think that they're going to pose some problems. It was interesting. I don't know how many people follow Dan Niles. He was a former tech analyst for Goldman Sachs, and now he runs money in a hedge fund, and a very well-respected technology investor on Wall Street. And it was very, very interesting what he talked about this morning, which is something that I've been talking about for a while, is that the AI, the hyperscalers all said, when DeepSeek came out, they all said, "Oh, we're going to keep spending. We're going to keep spending." And I said, we've talked about this. It's like, yeah, sure, that's what they're going to say at the start, but they're going to gradually pull back on that. Well, we saw that from Microsoft a couple of weeks ago, and as Dan Niles said this morning, he's like, "Hey, guess what Microsoft's doing? They were up." Everybody's talking about their spending year over year, but what about sequentially, quarter to quarter? They had 4 quarters in a row where their capital expenditures went up 16%, 4 quarters in a row. Well, guess what? They're guiding towards flat sequential growth for each of the next 2 quarters, and we're seeing very similar reports out of several other of the end users of all these chips. So as he said, he's not listening to what the CEO of NVIDIA is saying. He's doing the math, and the math is telling you that spending is coming down. So the Mag 7 stocks, can they rally further from here? I actually talked about Microsoft. I'm sorry, not Microsoft. Meta this morning. If I'm wrong, if the market is going to see we're going to rally right back to the all-time highs and higher, I mean, that's going to be a real nice play because it's actually relatively cheap at 23 times earnings. But Apple, Microsoft, even Amazon are not particularly cheap. They're cheaper, but they're not cheap. They're actually quite expensive compared to where they've been, their average of the last 10 years. So I guess my point is, if you want to pick and choose, look at a Meta and look at that one. That bounced off its 200-day moving average. If you buy Meta, go ahead. Okay, in case I'm wrong about the market, but use the 200-day moving average as your percent loss, and that's a good play there. So if this rally continues, which I don't think it will, but if it does, these washed out, or not say washed out, but short-term oversold mega tech stocks will bounce very strongly. But intermediate term, I still think they have lower to go because they're still expensive. And as Dan Niles said, we are, that AI phenomenon is not going to be as profitable as people have been saying. And we are starting to see the CapEx spending pare back. It's been a little bit of lag since DeepSeek, but now we're starting to see it.
Okay, real good stuff there, Matt. It sounds like I'm not alone here. Matt is spot on from one of our viewers here. Matt is the best guest, hands down. I went ahead and threw a link to Matt's inner circle there in the chat. Be sure, if you want to trade with Matt, be sure to check that out. That link actually has a 7-day trial attached to it. 13, did you have anything for Matt here today before we let him go for the week?
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about, we have earnings starting next month. Do you think we start seeing some of those headwinds that you're talking about reflected in these earnings next month?
I think it is. I mean, especially if we start to hear, and I think we will, based on what we just talked about, that the CapEx spending is slowing down. So therefore, it's not just going to be the Mag 7 stocks that see some weakness. You'll see it be a broader decline. Again, a big part of the way this stock market has been rallying has been anticipation of improving earnings, especially the broadening out of the AI earnings. Well, if that's not going to happen, again, it was not even 3 months ago that everybody was saying we see 14% earnings rate. That wasn't even enough to take the market higher with an expensive market. Now people are talking, the consensus is 9%, and it's got big firms like Goldman saying 7%. If that starts to go even lower because the earnings season is not working out, that's
I know. I want to
hear that last
give it a
part.
chance because the last time that it broke up there, he actually did come back.
the first year of their term. I think it's playing into that right now, and I think this bounce we're seeing is a dead cat bounce. It may have a little bit more to go, but once we get into the meat of earnings season, that's going to be the real test.
Right. Sorry for interrupting you there. We got a little bit of lag, and so we were waiting for the end of that sentence. Right. So appreciate it. No, that was great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, real good stuff here, folks. That is Matt Maley. Again, if you want to trade along with him, be sure to reach out to our team. I went and threw some links there in the chat. Right. Matt, we're a month away from the draft here. So if you come across the NFL draft, that is, if you come across any inside info for your Patriots or otherwise, I certainly want to hear about it. Enjoy the rest of your week, all right?
Thank you, too. Give Rodrigo a call if you want to check out our chat room. Again, you get 1 week free to see out if you really like it, but a lot of volatility out there. Good time to be trading. Yeah, indeed. And that week free, that's basically just extra time for you. Matt, you do such a great job with us sharing some of the plays here. Really good stuff. Have a great rest of your week. We'll check in with you next week, all right? Sounds great. Thanks, guys. All right, that is Matt Maley, folks, and I loved every bit of that because a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at here, it seems like he's looking for the same thing. I do like his idea there too, by the way, on Meta. This one
did come in and maybe test that 200, didn't really break it. But if you think that we're just going to keep going up here, maybe Meta might be a way to capture that. And you have a pretty good stop level here right beneath the 200 day. So like that too. Matt Maley always does it for us. Really good stuff there. All right, let me switch back to the main workspace here. Let's take a look at some of the movers here. It looks like Wint could not get above the VWAP, which we had called all morning here. Now it's been rejected and pulling away from that. MLGO looks like that printed some new highs. So MLGO is pretty strong. I'm seeing Oost getting mentioned here in the chat as well. Oost did set some new highs here. Also, this thing looks like it's got a 12 magnet in it. And the S&P futures here, looks like those are sitting at about 1.5%. Those sitting right there at their highs as well.
Carmen's selling her NVIDIA for now. Just kind of curious, are you selling because this is like what is the reason you're selling? Because I've got different thoughts on what's going on with NVIDIA. I think one of the big ones we've been talking about recently is its recent death cross. Last time this happened, the stock got cut way down. That would happen back in let's see here. That happened back in 22. And we had that entered that short-term bear market. Was down. How much was it, Ryan? It was like 50% off the high, something like that.
The last time that it went through its 200 day?
Yeah, actually it went, yeah.
Yeah, the last time we bear, I have to find that here. Here, it's right in here. Here's your death cross. Okay, so let me do this here for you. 13. Sorry. Oh, shoot. This chart drives me insane.
It was like a 55% decline following the death cross. So
yeah, here I got.
I'm wondering if Carmen, if that's factored into the reason you're selling, or if there's something else you were selling off of.
51.45%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that took me so long, but there you go. That was your measure down. So that was your movement down. So good stuff there on that death cross. And you know what else? Just kind of looking at this, it actually looks like we almost tested back tested the trend line there. And that would also kind of point to a rollover there on NVIDIA if we get continued move down there. Okay, really good stuff. Let me go back to the main workspace here. We'll keep track of everything that's going on. Oost continuing to go for 12. I think this is going to get you a 12 print here today. Amazon, by the way, Izzy, I know you got to be happy here today. Amazon pretty much no chill. I know we pulled a little bit there off the open, but we didn't even get back down to the VWAP. Amazon holding steady here, plus 202 or above 202 here. It's not up $200. Take a quick look around XHLD. This pulled off the top. IMTE, we talked about that one. It's trying to go off of its VWAP, but no go yet here. Lunar trying to re-go for its highs.
Getting asked if NAK will be tomorrow's ex-girlfriend. I mean, maybe. It's very extended now off this these moves that it's been having. Went through that trend line that we...
Be right back. 1 sec, 13.
So no problem. So if it doesn't hold above that trend line, I mean, either way, it's still going to be very extended, but I would anticipate that this comes back in. I don't know where it closes today. All I can tell you is that this thing has got almost 85 RSI. There it is, 85. And I just don't know that I'd be buying it up here. It's just very extended. So maybe it does. Line Atlas saying that we still have more downside to come. I agree with that. You moved my goalpost. AMD up some more. I like AMD. It was at a very attractive price underneath 100. Where are we at now? Over 111. So this is really starting to move. Okay, so we are moving over the 50-day SMA, something we have not been above since October of last year. October 29th was the last day the price was above the 50-day SMA. Since then, it lost that moving average and has traded down and not recaptured it until have no price interaction with it until today. So we're going to want to see a close above that 50-day SMA. Where we're just looking at AMD. This is the first time it has any price interaction with the 50-day SMA, and we are trading over it right now.
We talked about AMD recently. There being a pretty extreme opportunity for this company, given the botched launch, frankly, of NVIDIA's graphics card series. Now, the big takeaway there, maybe not takeaway, the big thing to keep in mind there is obviously these companies, or NVIDIA, really made its big move up on AI spend, not necessarily the graphics card market, but nonetheless, here has some potential catch up here for AMD as their cards are giving about the same type of production for much less of a price.
Yeah, I know that the whole graphics card segment for both of these companies isn't really the biggest drivers of revenue for them. But when I'm seeing how NVIDIA's handled their launch of their graphics cards, and I see how AMD is doing their launch, and I look at the issues that either company's had, and I look at what NVIDIA is doing and wondering to myself, how much of that same practice in their business with their graphics cards is making its way into their AI chips, their quality controls, their overpricing, their not handling the issue, like literally just like kind of saying we'll take care of it and then not taking care of it. I'm really concerned about how much of that is making its way into the more important segments of NVIDIA's business. So if they are going to just kind of like gloss over the botched launch of their graphics cards because of quality control issues, missing ROPs, overheating. How much of that is going to end up into their AI chip segment? I mean, the testing facilities, they're on the same campus. They probably even have some of the same people doing the testing for GPUs and AI chips. I really have to wonder how much of that is leaking over into their AI chip segment.
Good point. We'll see how that shakes out here. I do like your mention. AMD finally getting back above that 50-day. A close above that would be great. Maybe you can actually start using some of these other moving averages as price targets if we can continue to curl here. So, okay, really good stuff there on AMD.
So, Lion, if Trump gives the permit to enact, that stock will go above $10 overnight. And because it's in Alaska, so this would be unaffected by the tariffs, and that's the whole play here, is because it's kind of like an FXC. They have, I know it's a Canadian company, not FXC, but NAC. It's a Canadian company, but they have mines in Alaska, so they're not subject to tariffs. Is that the whole point?
NAC, this is already a pretty huge move here, 94 to 123 on that move. Pretty good volume, and it's still increasing as well. Buckle your seatbelt, folks. Mullen is on the relative volume scanner, up 17% and popping on volume. I gotta think, at least from looking at this is probably Jay Rice in here. I'm just kidding. Just totally trying to make a joke here, trying to bring Jay into it. Sorry about that. Mullen's popping here. Don't be fooled. We know what this is.
Don't be fooled. NAC could do probably pretty well to reverse split, to be honest. The float's 471 million shares. That's a little heavy. Now I realize that could make the stock price more pricey, but that float is just heavy, and the rule of large numbers will come into play. So, and I don't like the way that their financials are either. I mean, they're still losing money.
Mike, high tide. Is that a joke off the Roll Tide, the Dr. Pepper commercial?
That was funny.
Because I got it if that's what it was. A 4-cent move in Mullen is now 17%. You got it, Jay. I say it tongue in cheek, by the way. We're very clear that is a stay away from. Trade Ideas was talking about Mullen this morning. How about that?
Yeah, so let me see here. Was it Crocodile Done Me? We did bring up IMTE briefly. Let's see. The notes that I had on that one is that it's an Australian company that's moving on no news. Didn't really have a strong cash read that we could find. 3.3 million shares in the float. Kind of wondering if this was just a capitulation move or if it's just bouncing off of low RSI, but there wasn't any news that we initially could find that justified its move today. I think it was just a rebound off the massive sell-off that it had.
Real quick here, Izzy saying, funny, last week was the end of the world on CNBC. Now the pullback is over. LOL. you'll hear me joke about the markets in turmoil graphic and the whole thing. And look, the reality is if it's being made a huge deal on CNBC, it's probably late. And we try, for us that are active here, we're going to try and stay ahead of that. And it's no shade at CNBC. They're doing what they need to do. I watch it all the time. But Izzy, you're bringing up a really good point here. We're going to be early. All right. Us that are active, that are following news flow and not necessarily listening to people on TV, we're going to be early here. We're going to be early here. Tesla, by the way, continuing its march higher here. Tesla up almost 10% here today, 24 points for any of you that were trading the bounce here. Oh my goodness. And kudos to you. If you traded the bounce here from Friday, look at this, 16% in not even 2 full sessions here. Just goes to show you things can change quickly. Things can change quickly. Kevin, good morning. It's great to see you here. Mentioning Coinbase, I wouldn't be surprised. Bitcoin is absolutely raging here. In fact, the Bitcoin futures, 88,800 we've traded above here. Coinbase recapturing 200. Let me actually put Coinbase on the big chart here because I want to see what that's like with some of its other moving averages here. Coinbase, one of my favorite crypto plays, almost came in directly to that 200-day. Trying to close above its 20-day here. I messed it up already. Curled above its 500-day, recapturing the 20-day, trying to make a move back to the 200-day. I got it right. I got it right there eventually. No position in coin, but I do like this one. Man, oh man, maybe it's time to try this one and a move back to the 200.
Mike asking if Tesla pivots to LiDAR. Now, I don't know. Maybe they do, but my understanding is that Musk was pretty adamant about sticking with just cameras, like traditional cameras. He said that it was something to the effect of cameras being are like more scalable and cheaper to produce, and that's kind of what they're going for, especially for the robotaxis. And LiDAR is like a more expensive system. And it's going to add to the cost. So I don't know that he changes his mind on that, but that's, I believe, what his comment on that change was. They might. I mean, if it's cheap enough.
Don't those cameras also double as the cameras for Sentry mode when the car is not driving?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that they do. And as long as that's the case, I can pretty much confirm that you're not going to move away from that. After what we're seeing right now with Sentry mode busting a lot of these vandals, there's no way they're moving away from that.
Yeah. And then
if anything, it would be a LiDAR addition. You know what I mean? There's no way they're moving away from traditional cameras after what we just saw. No chance.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know, but it's a good point because LiDAR can't identify, the face.
Right. And I'm just wondering. I'm pretty sure that those cameras are dual function. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I'm totally open to that.
Okay, so that's thank you, STFU. Tesla has spent so much on LiDAR tech, and Elon said it was a losing tech.
Yeah, I think Carmen's here. I think the best is a mix of both. I think anytime you can get more data, if you're going to make a machine operate a vehicle, I think you're probably more data better. More data, more better.
That just goes against the whole lower cost structure. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Have both kinds of cameras. We're not going to try to figure this out, guys. What Elon's got planned is what he's going to do. If he changes his mind, he changes his mind. If he doesn't, then we'll understand the reasons for that too.
Meanwhile, MLGO continuing to run after its offering here. In fact, after the offering bottom, this stock is up 36% post that offering news. MLGO, more new highs. We're staircasing up here in the regular session. I think that you've got a pretty big pull coming here at some point on MLGO. Just be careful with this one. Now, you guys were also mentioning caps earlier. This did a move higher here. Actually, looks like it's trying to consolidate around this VWAP and maybe go higher. I'd be watching this, 375 as the top end of that range. Got your, on the 5-minute here, your 15 EMAs down here at 291. Probably could trade this against 3.
Lion, we are. What is MLGO? What is NAK? I mean, these are all companies that
we've been looking at
that don't make money.
Look, I know some people like junk stocks, some people like big stocks. Here's the promise I can make to everybody: we will look at both every day.
Oh yeah,
we will look at both every day, and based on what's going on. I don't want to speak for the market, but based on what's going on, we will likely trade them every day as well.
Oh yeah, we're going to trade these things. We look at trash, and we look at treasure, and sometimes there's treasure in that trash.
Yep.
NAC is that treasure right today.
MLGO, I think, is trash to treasure as well. Frankly,
that was interesting because I agree with some of these people scratching their heads about this offering and it not just absolutely tanking down to 80 cents, but it just kind of where did it go to? It like held like 275, I think. Something like that. I don't remember the exact price, but it didn't go down there.
Seeing kind of a mixture here of contracts bought on Tesla. Did see, looks like a number of the tech stocks here were hit with put buys, fairly aggressive. Google being the biggest one here. So it looks like puts on Google, App, Amazon, Tesla, all flowing through there. I'm not sure we could take anything away from that, especially the Tesla one. Still seems to be a lot of calls getting bought there. How's Uber doing here? Uber holding higher here. Also seeing some calls get bought on Uber.
Morning, Smoke Tuna.
Bonjour, Smoke Tuna. Fa, I'm just going to call you Fa because it's easier for me. There's more money in trash. Boy, there's always money. There's definitely money in trash. I mean, hell, we were looking at waste management not long ago for a potential trade. There's any way that you want to define that. There's money in trash, indeed.
Yeah, I know what he's saying, and I think in the very short term that's true, but there are some other like bigger names that have produced better returns over a longer period of time. Nvidia was one of them.
Crocodile Dummy asking about DGNX.
Tesla was another.
DGNX stock is up $100 this past month. I'm not familiar with this one. Was this like a new IPO recently? DigiNex is an investment holdings company engaged in providing environmental, social, and governance ESG reporting solution services, advisory services, and developing customization solutions. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm completely offsides on this one. There was no way I would have thought that this was going to move higher in the past month, but here you go. Not one that I follow here.
MLGO trying to hit those session highs again. Yeah, let me see DGNX here because it could just be another one of those. What's the one we were trading? That was it could be another XHLD because I was looking at that one last week and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This Crocodile, this is not a bad mention here. I don't have an answer for you though.
Where do they operate out of?
MLGO up near the highs. I'm going to keep rolling through while you dig there, 13, if that's all right. Holla if you need me. NAK pulled back. This came back down to the VWAP. Watch and see if that holds VWAP. WINT, remember, that could not get above the VWAP. That's probably over. Mullen teasing like it's trying to go higher there. I don't want anyone here to get fooled, though. EPD. I don't really see anything else terribly interesting on the scanner right now. Excuse me.
DigiNex Limited is a Cayman Islands accepting company with subsidiaries located in Hong Kong, the United Kingdom, and the United States.
That seems like kind of China, Cayman. That doesn't seem.
Yep.
That seems shady.
Yes, it does. Primarily, it's out of Hong Kong.
Yeah. Can't really trust it, I don't think.
I don't think you can. Especially
Bitcoin, by the way, sorry, 13. Bitcoin at that 88,800 level, Bitcoin pulled off that level, but isn't breaking down. Tesla's still holding near the highs. That's been the strongest big boy of the day here today. And we talked with Matt, S&P 500, 4.2% above its closing low that we recently put in 4+% dead cat bounce. Well, I guess I shouldn't even say that. Just bounce off of those lows that were put in there.
Did
Izzy bringing up TQQQ at the high of the day. My first inclination is to check SQQQ. We don't have enough distance here from the VWAP for that trade, but you know what? That's something to watch, Izzy, especially if this continues to move away from it here. Here's your TQQQ chart. Diginex, Jay says it'll be under 30 in a month.
Yeah. And then producer, China, Hong Kong, and the Cayman Islands is the Bermuda Triangle of dodgy trades.
We've lost many traders in the Bermuda Triangle of dodgy trades. CCG trader, is anyone else aware that Fidelity is not allowing you to buy volatile stocks? I don't have a Fidelity account. I can't answer that for you. If anyone does out there, let our group member know here. That sounds terrible. I think I probably want to buy the stocks when they're volatile like that. Not good.
Yeah, here's a trading account. By the way, you can't trade.
STFU has pretty much never taken Oost off of his screen here today. New highs. I still think we print that 12. What happens at 12 is the question. Bros holding higher here. Tempest getting mentioned by Jay. The Pelosi push still in order here. TEM. Wow. Not even 2 sessions and we have a 10-point move off those Friday lows. TEM. Who saw that one coming?
Bitcoin coming off the highs it made, 88,812. Almost got to 89. I have a level here at 90,000 that I was looking for. Don't know if we're going to be able to get that today. This is a pretty big move down, the biggest we've had so far today. All those stocks down, yeah. So let's see. Let's look at AUS, see what that's doing.
VIX again melted here. VIX into the 18 handle. Remember, 13 to 15, generally speaking, is where the VIX bounces from when it gets there. Maybe we are trading back down to that level.
Boeing about to hit the session high again.
Boeing, huh? Let's take a look here at Boeing. Let's see if Boeing can get back above this 188. 190, I think, is where that 500-day is. Let me go back to that bigger chart tool here real quick. Take a look here, ticker BA.
We are past 1030, so volume is lower. Let's see how Signet Jewelers doing. We end up...
Yeah, Boeing here, 191 is going to be where that 500-day is. MLGO breaking higher again.
That's crazy. Yeah, so Signet Jewelers still moving up. Looks like 62 is still going to be that area that we could see the most resistance. But Signet Jewelers still moving up.
We want to see it break that 62 for a potential gap fill, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it traded up to its 65 EMA on the daily. That was right at 60 and 85 cents. The high of today is 60 and 83 cents. So
I wonder if so I'm looking here, the May contract for ticker SIG. Looks like there are people dabbling in the 65 and the 70 call. Pretty low volume there. Spread about 35 cents, 20 to 35 cents spread there. But it looks like maybe there are some people kind of taking a stab there through the options market. Netflix rolling over, Apple rolling towards the lows. How are we doing here with the market? 573, right? I want to see if we can actually close above this 200-day. We got some pretty good strength here this morning. Looks like we're stopping right there. 573.70 is that spot. 573.16 is where we're stopping here on the SPY. Breath is green across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice, all green across the board here. Tell you what, if the strength starts to fizzle today, I could actually see myself maybe taking a little stab here at SPY short if we do stop at this 200-day.
And Netflix getting resistance from a trend line that I got drawn here, losing the 50-day SMA. If we close underneath the 50-day SMA, we could start to see the price move back down towards the lower end of the 900 area.
Netflix doing its best to it's basically flirting with its 50-day moving average. We're either going to close above or beneath that here today. MLGO continuing to move higher here. I'll be on. I would have been offsides on this one. They had the offering after that PR here this morning that sank it. Here we go. Highs still. MLGO
650. I've had that line out there for a while. I didn't know if we were going to hit it today, but it looks like it's possible now.
Parker's Thinkorswim ADD is dropping. That reminds me, the advanced decline that Anne Marie gave us when we talked to her last week, that is at 1555 in favor of the advancing stocks. It's down from a high of 1925. In fact, that high was put in at the open and really kind of seems to have been dropping since then.
So if MLGO takes out 650 and starts to trade above that, I'd be looking at 770 as the next upside resistance area. NAC ropes and EMAs could see run to 130. Let's see. For me, it's about that trend line. We just kind of beelined it. What is this? Let's see, 45 cents. That's where we're at. 45 cents up from the area we were trying to, the breakout level from Friday. But that trend line so far is providing some resistance. So for me, that's going to be the big question mark. If we close above or beneath that trend line. If above, we may end up setting up to go higher. We can consolidate. I don't know. I don't want to make any predictions with this one, but what Lion was saying about getting approval for to build mining operations out there, this goes to 10. We'll see if that's what happens. It'd be very extended if that happens soon, because we're already at 83 RSI. So if that news did break soon, we'd be running up into really super extended levels. I don't know what would happen after that. Could be a big sell-off, but I just don't know. Surprised nobody's talking about PLTR. What's PLTR doing today? Up 5%. That's coming up to trend line. That trend line, if they get to today, would be at about 97.50. A nice move over the 50-day SMA.
Yeah, Jay. Sorry. Oh wow. I apologize here. I must have been looking at the wrong screen for too long here. Parker's Thinkorswim Custom Indicators. By the way, good to have you back here, Parker. Our Faloona 20-day SMA is crossing below the 200-day. Thoughts on which one? On which ticker are you seeing that on? And I don't think we had anything for that 20 crossing through the 200, right?
No.
I don't think there's like a specific.
Oh yeah, there's no name for that. There's no name for that.
There's no name for it. I thought we were going to name it or something like that.
No, it's the 50 and the 200. The only thing that you get when you see a 20-day SMA crossing the 50 to the upside is a silver cross.
Okay, so Parker, then to answer your question here, so you're talking about this purple line is crossing through this blue line. I also see that. Now you're asking me for my thoughts. Well, my thoughts have nothing to do with that cross, but my thoughts are the exact same that I gave this morning. I'm skeptical of this rally, especially if we're not able to get through this 200-day here today. Now, here's the other thing. We could really kind of like butt up against this all day here today. Let's say I'm hypothetical. We close here at 573.50, right? We close right beneath it. And in that case, I would think, yeah, we're probably going to get rejected at this 200-day, and the next move is likely down. And then tomorrow, we could see it move through that. I wouldn't even be terribly shocked here. But my thought overall is that we probably have a little bit of trouble here with this 200-day and end up rolling back over. Matt actually earlier, remember, he used Anne Marie's lingo, good company to be in, saying it would be great if the SPY could peak above that 200-day. But again, a lot of that comes down to where it closes. Parker, simply put, if we close beneath this 200-day, I kind of think that might start the rollover back down to the 10% level. Excuse me. I hit that hardware mute button before I sneezed, thankfully. I would have blown your eardrums out with that one.
No, the 50 SMA. STFU, the 65 EMA, that's, yes, for day trading especially, that's when we like to use.
You're welcome, Parker. Charles saying Fidelity did not let me buy WINT. Now that I can see, because that's just kind of like one of those junky volatile names. I would be way more concerned if, they weren't letting you buy Tesla, which is volatile here today, but not for the same reasons.
MLGO with a pull. Pulled down the 9 EMA.
That could use one, frankly.
Yeah.
And then there was another piece of broader news here. I skipped right over it. Let me see if I can find that here. Izzy, Ryan, Tump. That's actually kind of a funny name, Tump. Ryan, Trump talking tariffs. That alliteration got me. It totally got me right there. So he's talking tariffs right now. I don't know what he's saying. I don't see it or see the quotes anywhere. I'll look it up here in a sec. S&P futures holding near the highs. Wasn't there supposed to be a meeting today? Oh, that might have just been with Musk. I don't know if that was regarding tariffs. Anyway, nonetheless.
Yeah, look at the price action on a smaller time frame of the SPY. It's starting to look like it's weakening a bit here.
Graph saying Fidelity is not letting me buy junk either. Okay, so now we have multiple people reporting the exact same thing here. Same here with Hellcat. Can't buy went at Fidelity. So it looks like Fidelity holding some of those. Holding the buys on some of those. I'm curious, if you call their trade desk, do they then let you execute the order? Or are they just blocking it on the broker here? Here we go. SPY. President Trump says we'll put on secondary tariffs on Venezuela. Says any country that buys oil, gas from Venezuela will pay 25% tariff to the U.S. Tariffs take effect April 2nd. So the tariff news here. So this is more of that targeted tariff news. This is the same thing that we heard over the weekend. Got it, Izzy. Got it. Okay. Well, I don't think the market is necessarily gonna really freak out over this. This is exactly, like I said, this is confirmation of the more targeted tariffs instead of some of those broad-based ones. And Venezuela is not an ally like Canada. So Cyril's asking a really good question here. At what point is Trump tariff talking going to be priced into the market? I almost think that might be a constant repricing of those things. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so much back and forth. 13, do you have a good idea of what's going to happen for sure?
We talked about how this whole tariff thing is just basically all on, whatever he says. So because it's a problem he's creating, and it's only a problem he's going to solve. And now, and this whole market today is moving on him, mentioning how tariffs are going to be more targeted and not broad. So every time that he changes his tune or changes the aspect of what tariffs are going to be, the market's going to move in reaction to that. Absolutely. Everything that he says regarding tariffs are going to be moving the market, even if some of that is already priced in. Now, we have priced in some of the potential, really bad side to the tariffs with, to Canada and the EU and Mexico and all those. But as soon as he says, okay, well, we're not going to have tariffs on those countries, market turns around. It's a self-fulfilling, situation. I don't want to say prophecy, but it's a self-fulfilling issue here. As soon as Trump says that he's going to put tariffs on X countries, market goes down. As soon as he's going to say he's going to lift them, market goes up. That's just been how it's.
And remember, and that's a really good point, 13. The other thing you should remember about that is that the market is going to react to this stuff a lot quicker than the companies. For example, we had news this morning that Hyundai, is going to invest $20 billion in autos here in America. The whole reason that's happening is because of the auto tariffs. So while there was an initial reaction to that, companies are going to react much slower to that. The market might end up playing catch up in some of those cases.
It looks like
wisdom. I'm gonna mention this because it sounds like you're trying to be serious, but I'll be honest with you, I can never be sure. Ryan, I have a high executive friend. A high is in like ripping bongs this morning, or high is in he's up the ladder, who told me last week that Chevron is getting rid of 20,000 people because of Venezuelan oil companies. They do most middleman work. Not sure how to take that, but I appreciate you sharing insight with us.
Market looks like it's trying to push into a new intercession high. So Trump must have said something good about tariffs. By the way, what's Kodak doing?
Can't believe it.
Oh, what do you know? This is up. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, you know, we made this joke a while back about how you know, whenever Trump comes on TV or starts talking, that Kodak will start moving, because during the pandemic, he just threw Kodak out there as a potential, source of chemicals for fighting COVID. And ever since then, whenever he comes on to talk, the stock moves. It's up 3.5% today. It's hilarious.
By the way, those FCX May 50 calls that we saw a ton of action in, I see that coming into today, they had 87,000 contracts held in the open interest. Today, though, at that same strike and expiry, I see 62,000 contracts traded. Now, those contracts are up 77% here today on that pop. Part of me wonders if this was a partial closing order there.
Probably.
But we'll wait and see until tomorrow, see what that open interest is. FCX here plus 4.6% here today. Okay.
Need to take a look at a daily chart on FCX, see what we're dealing with here. So we're trading above the 500-day SMA. We've first time we've done that since last year.
Oh, by the way, I'm now seeing the Venezuelan tariff news on CNBC. So I'm going to rewind back to something that I said earlier, folks, that if you are seeing it on CNBC, somebody out there is reacting to it first. And shout out to our chat here, who was way faster than CNBC on getting that news out there. So again, CNB who? Producer, love it, man. Love it.
Now, if you want a named crossing here that's about to happen with FCX, you are looking at a potential silver cross. That's the 20-day SMA moving up through the 50-day SMA. It has curled up since this move on with Trump making his announcement of tariffs during the congressional address, where he mentioned copper as as having the tariffs if it's mined and imported. But now you have this potential silver cross happening here, and that could happen this week if we continue to trade above the 50.
I think that this, maybe I'm crazy, but FCX chart here is screaming a test of this 4340 200 day. And you know what? Maybe we get a peak above and we don't run from it. But to me, it sure seems like we got at least another $1 plus of upside here on FCX, just from looking at the chart.
Yeah, this had a really nice move. I mean, geez, this is kind of really bounced off of the Friday movement. Friday, by the way, really nice hammer candle.
Yeah. Look at that right in here. And this is kind of what I was trying to say earlier on the SPY, right? This traded up to the 100, couldn't get above it, couldn't close above it, but look at the gap today, right? Had some time had the weekend to digest, bang, we gapped ahead there. And I was thinking the same thing here on the SPY. Like, part of me wonders if we trade up to this 200 day, can't quite get above and close, or maybe we peak above and then come back in, and then tomorrow gap fill us home towards that 50. I don't know. We'll see what the market feels like later on throughout the course of the day. Today, though, not bad. FCX, that swing trade really working.
Yep.
I give it one more day. Maybe we'll close partial on that. We did add on the way back down, so.
Well, I got about 8 minutes left. Is there anything that we want to take a look at before I take off for today? Route 200 around the corner? You're kidding me. Is it really?
I mean, it was up this morning. It was like 160 this morning.
Wow.
What's it at now?
Almost at 178.
Yeah. That was a good call. That was a good call. And then the other one, Crow, the Celsius to 40. I actually, the more and more I watch this, the more and more I think we're going to get that. Okay, Celsius sold a little bit of the rally that it had out of the open here, but not sure that that's done yet.
Carvana also up with root.
Micron being brought into the chat. Let's take a look at that. We took a look at Micron a lot last week. Haven't looked at it yet today. Shout out to you. There's Micron still staying under that 100. We'll see where this closes in reference to the 50. It's kind of a log jam here in Micron. Still in the sideways channel that we have as well.
Oh, yep. Sideways channel still getting suppressed by the 200.
Oh, MLGO, guys. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, shame on me. Sorry. And it went right to that 689. Watch it stop right there, 213. Watch it stop at that level that you gave earlier. Big pop here. On volume. Nice move here in MLGO. I didn't trade this at all today. If you did, though, congrats to you. MLGO, what a rocket here. Robert, how'd you do with MLGO today?
Why? Who's talking about 24-hour trading? Thoughts on 24-hour trading? Oh. Why would 24-hour trading benefit us? Well, I don't think it would necessarily benefit this group here, but there's some investors and traders that some in different time zones that would benefit from that.
I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to take a slightly different approach. I'm going to agree with Mike here. Mike, I think you've been running a little wild recently, but I think that you are spot on with this one. Spot on with this. I don't think 24-hour trading actually helps. Maybe a controversial opinion. I don't think it actually helps. I know for me, like if I'm in the zone, like right now, I'm kind of waiting out what's going on with the broader market. I'm not as active as I normally am, but man, oh man, when I am active and I'm hitting stuff left and right, bro, I need a break. 24-hour trading is the worst thing that could happen to me. I'm going to start giving up exercise, sleep, eating, all of that stuff. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. Like let these markets that we trade close. Let's get some time off. That's always worked well for me. I completely agree with you here, man. I don't think 24-hour trading benefits anybody. Now, that being said, with the crypto markets, I was a hodler, right? So I didn't trade those crypto markets. Y'all folks might have a different opinion than me, but man, oh man, I don't think that's beneficial at all.
Yeah, that's kind of all I was going to get at ultimately is that you do have the crypto markets that are open 24 hours. So the news that comes, outside of regular session hours, that might be more easily traded. I mean, if they're going to allow market orders, and maybe you have more, liquidity. But I don't really have a strong opinion on 24-hour trading. I do agree with what you're saying about how it just makes it, you're more focused on the markets if you have 24-hour trading. Yeah. You don't have that downtime to kind of digest some of the market moves or what the news has been for the day or what's coming up. You kind of just have to be on all the time. So I can understand that how that exhaustion might come into play. But at the same time, being able to have an ability to get out of something or get into something right just before you get the news or as it's happening, because a lot of times you're like, oh man, I wonder what the market's going to be like on Monday when this news over the weekend, how this news over the weekend is going to affect it. There have been, I don't know how you have felt about this, but there have been times before where I've been like, man, I wish the market was open so I could pick some up now. So it's back and forth a lot. So for me, I'm just kind of neutral on 24-hour trading. I really don't have a strong opinion on it, but I can see how it would benefit and be a detriment to both sides.
Yeah, fair enough. By the way, MLGO going crazy while we're having that discussion here. It looks like there's folks are on both sides of this here. Totally with you guys, by the way. Robert, I'm doing you know what? You're going to get an extra register ring and an extra one up for that. You're welcome. Crocodile Dumb Me with a really good mention here. The other thing about 24-hour trading, I agree with him. I think it thins out the volume. And I think if you've got people that are, you know, regularly trading in the later hours of the day, and those people might otherwise have been trading. I don't know. I don't want the volume to be thinned out. I like there to be concentrated areas where I know what to expect. Cytokic, I can't pronounce your name. You're cool nonetheless. Agreed, people are going to blow accounts left and right. This is my big thought. When I first was trading with a small account and was super, super active, guess what I did? Yeah, I blew those accounts up. That was like a rite of passage for me. We're blowing up some of those smaller accounts.
Yeah, MLGO, if it gets over that 725 that you folks are talking about, I'm looking at 770 as the resistance area. If you look at the high from December 31st, that went up to 769. I think that's going to be your resistance area. You can look to the left and to the right and see that since we've hit that level, it's been a resistance area.
Okay. What the hell's going on with this stock? Dude, more buyers than sellers, clearly. We had a number of different pieces of news here this morning on both sides of the aisle that I'm sure has you know, got people in here. Friday, March, we had plans to issue additional share. God, we got warning of this offering on Friday, and then they did the offering here this morning.
So they may have priced that in on Friday.
Yeah, and that drop may have been a buyable drop. Now, I still think that you're getting trading action here. I suspect you're looking at a pretty big pull on this here today.
What time was that? Was that news on Friday? Was it about 1:30?
Micro algo, and here we got the PR at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Yep. Plans to issue additional new shares at an offering price of 80 cents per share.
They priced it in. You can look on a smaller time frame for Friday. You can see right at 1:30.
Right here.
Yep. They price it all in. So, and then of course we have the high short interest, so it slows. So that was already priced in. Short squeeze. This is where we're at. That's why it's moving.
Okay, 13. This was a really good start to the week. This Monday flew by. Shout out to Matt Maley, by the way. And once again, folks, if you guys want, look, we call Matt Money Maley here. I'm not sure if he likes that nickname, but he has really been printing. Again, here's a link in the chat for a link to his Inner Circle trading service. It has a 7-day trial attached to it. So if you're interested, check it out. 13, great start to the week here. Any closing words for the group?
Hey, folks. Good morning. Good Monday. I hope you have a good rest of the day. Don't get stuck in anything that isn't looking great. We still think that we may have some more downside here in the market later on. So just be careful and make sure you set your stops appropriately. I'll see you folks tomorrow. Take care.
Sounds good. Really good stuff, 13. Folks, watch that 200-day on the SPY here today. A great start to the week. Nothing after us here today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll also look to have